Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame to his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
Grump, how are you doing this fine Saturday evening?
Good. Feeling good.
I was about to say, rejoice, ladies and gentlemen. The Islanders have announced the new general manager, Mathieu Darche, on that side. We're going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking a little bit about the direction, what to anticipate, our initial takes there on that, and much, much more. But before we jump into our show here today, if you're new to the podcast, a few pieces of housekeeping. This is an All Islanders podcast that takes place every single Saturday between 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're new to the show, you're new to the live stream, and you enjoy the content that we produce, you find it funny, you enjoy the topics we discuss, whatever it is, if you want to make sure you keep updated with what we do, make sure to subscribe on YouTube so you get a little bing notification bell anytime that we go live, and make sure to hit the thumbs up button. If you hit the thumbs up button, it lets myself, Grumpy, and Sun X, when he shows up, know that you like the content that we produce. And also it helps juice the algo. It gets this Islanders podcast out to the masses. So make sure to do those few things here. Again, subscribe on YouTube and like the video if you like the content we produce. One other piece of housekeeping, we do have an all sports podcast called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. You could find that in link in the description below or as a featured page here on our YouTube channel. It is an all sports podcast for myself, the Grumpy Old Man, and Sun X talk anything and everything sports. So that's NHL, that's NBA, that's NFL, that's college athletics, literally anything and everything sports on that show. You can find it again in a link in the description below, or if you go to our YouTube page here where it's like Islanders Never Say Die podcast, you'll see right here TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. That's where you find it. But Grump, Islanders new general manager Mathieu Darche. What is your initial thought? What is your reaction, Grumpy? What is your initial thought on it?
Positive with some questions, I guess, is the way I'm looking at it. It's obviously a change of direction from what the Islanders have done in the last number of years. I think that's fresh blood in this organization was desperately needed. I think Mathieu Darche brings that. My only concern is he's like in charge of everything. And as only being an assistant general manager, that's an awful big undertaking for someone who's never done that at that level before. I think that's
he was not named the head of hockey operations, correct?
He's in charge of everything. He
was not named the head of hockey ops, right?
Let me see exactly.
So he's just a GM.
I think there's something else in here that says, oh, come on.
Don't worry, Grumpy. Just continue.
He is General manager and executive vice president. Isn't that what
So-
Lou was before?
No, he's the head of hockey operations.
Well, we don't have one of those anymore. And just for the some of the clowns who have been saying that Lou Lamoriello is sticking with the team, well, he's off the website now. So that's not that gone. Just like I said, he's gone. Sorry.
Yep. Okay. I will say this. I am never happier to be wrong than I am now. Lou Lamoriello is gone. He's done and dusted. And guess what? We mentioned all last show about how the longer and longer we waited, I had a few thought processes that I thought that this meant that maybe they don't like the candidates that they've interviewed so far. We opined, or I opined quite a bit. Maybe Lou is going to be involved in some capacity. Who knows? Again, it took us over a month to find the GM. I will say, it's funny. Last Saturday, this is before everything was a done deal. We were talking about the Dallas Stars potentially, or the Florida Panthers, who would win. If they potentially have other guys they want to interview, 3 other guys for the Dallas Stars, at least one other guy from the Florida Panthers. Long story short, all those candidates moved on. So I guess we moved with what we had available. Mathieu Darche is a candidate that when we were first started looking for the GM spot, I said more than happy bringing a guy like this on board. He's been involved with that Tampa Bay winning culture for quite some time. He's been an assistant GM for quite some time as well. And I'm happy with the choice, is my initial thought. He was not the Islanders' first or second choice, and we heard some interesting things that are now, circulating out in the media. So I guess we could feel more open to discuss it as well. But apparently he was not the first choice for the Islanders or the second choice for the Islanders, but I'm happy he was the choice of the Islanders. Let me put it like this, because I'm happy Ken Holland determined to go out there to Los Angeles. I'm happy Bergevin determined to turn the Islanders down. But there was a lot that was going on behind the scenes, apparently, too, Grump.
Yeah. There was some people saying that there was maybe going to be a co-general managership between Marc Bergevin and Mathieu Darche. I as soon as I heard that, I'm like, we're in trouble, right? That's an organization in trouble. It just doesn't work. You have to have one clear, defining voice for the organization, no matter what it is, good or bad. You can't have 2 guys reporting to some entity at the top, and with neither one having the final, all right, I'm the final deciding vote on this.
You can't have 2 GMs, just like you can't have 2 head football coaches, just like you can't have 2 offensive line coaches. You need one coach that is designated, or one individual that's designated per role. You can't have multiple people designated per role. And that is absolutely true. They did want to have the Islanders. Think about this. This is true. Wanted to have dual general managers. Thank God
They did that before. The Islanders have done that before. If you remember, Pat LaFontaine and Neil Smith, I believe, were named as dual general managers back in the day. And, that lasted 40 days, and Neil Smith said, this isn't working. The committee approach doesn't work. Again, you have to have one defining voice for your organization. This is the direction we're going in. I mean, you can have as many guys as you want underneath, but one guy has to have final say so. You cannot have 2 guys who would say, well, I want to do this. Well, I want to do this. Well, let's go talk to the big boss and see what he says. That doesn't work. It doesn't work, period, right? Yeah. Someone has to be the final voice that says, nope, this is what we're doing.
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to
Now, there was a tweet, an idiotic tweet put out after the signing, says the Islanders have played it cheap. They get what they want because they're looking at some cheap alternative, which is just being disingenuous. Because, and this is from someone we know, put that tweet out there just to be a contrarian.
Stupid shit.
Phil said this. The Islanders, I hope they got what they wanted. They wanted to play it on the cheap. That's not true. They wanted Ken Holland was their number 1 choice. I think Bergevin was the number 2 choice, but when they wanted to do the dual thing, he said no. But Mathieu Darche also said no. So, I mean, I don't have a problem. If you're going to ask me, I think more fans are excited about Mathieu Darche than maybe about Marc Bergevin, because no one knows what Mathieu Darche has actually done. So he's new. He's the shiny new toy in Islander world.
He could absolutely fail and whiff, or he can be a good decision for us. Simple as that. I will say it does worry me a little bit. Now, here's the thing. I think all is said and done. We got the right GM potentially. I'm fine with Mathieu Darche being here. He has time to say, Mathieu Darche, make this team the way you want it to be. We want to be a team like Tampa Bay, where we have a long run of many years where we can be competitive. That's what we want to see. He was involved in more of like an executive role when he first joined Tampa Bay after Steve UI left, and then he joined as the assistant GM when he took on that additional role. So he's had some experience with them for quite some time from Tampa's perspective. It's been like, what has it been now, Grumpy? Almost 7 or 8 years he's been there. It's been quite some time.
I don't know. He's been there a while. He
He
absolutely
started in
has.
2018, but I'm not
Okay.
sure. 2018 or 2017, something like that.
But he's moved up the chain. So
Yes. Got more and more responsibility to handle over time.
and the last couple of years he's been involved in all decision making. So was he part of was he part of decision making which said, okay, we need to maybe move on from Stamkos, we need to get younger.
Let's bring in Gensel.
Right. I mean, was he part of that? Maybe he was. I hope he was. But was he part of the the pro development side where it says, okay, Tampa a couple of 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, they were old and slow, and they've absolutely turned that around. They still have their core piece, but they've managed to make the team much more energetic. I mean, I thought they had a shot at winning the cup this year before Florida just come rolling through. Hurricane Florida just come rolling through town. But I mean, I think that if he was involved in all that aspect of turning the team around, I think he's done a pretty good job.
We've mentioned it before. I want an assistant GM from a competitive, good team. Tampa, we've listed plenty of times. Mathieu Darche has been a guy we've listed plenty of times. I'm more than happy with the signing of this GM. Getting back to what I was mentioning earlier, the item that concerns me a little bit is it looks like we got gifted this decision and we almost tried to fuck it up about 3 different ways. We almost tried to screw it up three or 4 different ways. The fact that Ken Holland was our first selection, yikes, no thank you. The fact that we wanted to try to give this a dual general manager approach, yikes, no thank you. It's just like we tried to mess it up. Thank God it didn't end up messed up, but it does make me worry a little bit. I'm just happy they don't have to make these decisions often. I think we got the right guy. I just am not liking how we came to the conclusion. It took us a month. It took us a month, and we were on a spot. We were at a point where like, what do you think about a dual general manager role?
Well, they were also looking at Shanahan. They wanted to interview
as head of the president of hockey operations, correct?
Yeah, and maybe even as GM,
Oof.
Which he's never done before. But I think he cooled on the offer when they said they were going with Darche as GM. He's like, if he was going to be the president of hockey ops, he wanted to pick his own GM if it wasn't going to be him. And I can understand that from his perspective. Sure. I think you could have done a lot worse than bring in Brendan Shanahan as president of hockey ops. He did a nice job, regardless of what you think. He turned Toronto around. Toronto had missed the playoffs 7 of the previous 9 years. He came in their perennial playoff team. Okay, he's the president,
and was not to make the playoffs.
But he turned around their minor league system as well. I don't want to. I think it's wrong for people to minimize how Toronto's been right at the top. They haven't won anything, that's true. But you know what? They've been ultra competitive, and they're just. Who's played Florida tougher this year than Toronto? Nobody. Florida's steamrolling everybody. I mean, they were 1 game away from winning that. If they don't give up that goal, they had a 3-1 lead in the 3rd period on Florida in game 3. They win that game. Maybe you're talking about them winning the cup this year.
How many more years do we need to talk about Toronto and Toronto-itis blowing games and just being hideous in the postseason? I don't want guys.
He's not the GM, though. He's not the GM. Here's what I want from my hockey ops guy. I want someone who is the big picture guy, not just looking at the big team, looking at the minor league organization. That's where I think that Shanahan's been really good. He's put a good scouting staff together. He's had a good player personnel guys. I like the job he's done. To minimize what he's done because they haven't won a cup is just being short-sighted. And I'm glad we have Darche. No
Not
problem. I would
because they
like to
haven't
see
won a
both.
cup. It's not because they haven't won a cup. It's because there's been zero postseason success. Absolutely none for having as many high selections as they did before Shanahan got there, that he got to reap the benefit of those selections.
No, he was there. He was there for 11 years. All those guys were when he was there. Every single one of them.
Matthews was drafted before Shanahan.
No, he was not. No, he was not. Absolutely not.
Shanahan's
He's been there 11
years.
years. He's been there 11 years. That's
11?
11, 11, 1-1, 11.
All right.
I mean, say what you want. They have a stable organization. They used to be a clown show. Toronto was an absolute clown show before. Yeah, okay, they're not winning cups. And maybe they don't have the perfect mix. Okay? But at the end of the day, you cannot say that Toronto has not performed very well. Okay, who have they been playing against? Tampa and Florida. And before that, Boston. Those teams are in the Stanley Cup Finals every single year, teams out of the Atlantic for the most part. Think about how many trips the Atlantic has had to the Stanley Cup Finals. Toronto has gotten beaten by that Stanley Cup champion just about every year. And I'm not saying Toronto's great. I'm not saying they're a perfect organization. But as a president of hockey ops, I want someone who oversees the whole system. I want somebody who says, you know what, we need to improve this in our minor leagues, because our minor league is a joke. Is Mathieu Darche able to do that? Maybe. I hope so, but he's never done it before. And that's my only trepidation with him.
The head of hockey operations.
Who do you think is going to be running the minor? He's in charge of everything. I'm telling you right now.
He's not the head of hockey operations. I don't know.
They're not hiring anyone else. They're not hiring anyone else.
So you don't think they're going to have a head of hockey operations?
I think he's in charge of that. He's making the final decision. It's not going to be John Collins.
He's the GM and the executive vice president.
What was Lamarillo's title? What was his title?
He was the head of hockey operations. And
I don't
GM.
think that
Yes, I'll pull it up. Don't worry, I'll pull it up.
That's fine.
Good.
I think he was executive vice president as well.
He was not.
I mean,
okay.
I would have felt,
wasn't.
and like I've mentioned a couple of times in the show the last couple of weeks, if you're bringing in a Mathieu Darche, I would feel much better of having a director of hockey ops, since he's a first-time GM. I think there's a lot of things that, even though I'm sure he's been trained well by Brisebois down in Tampa, your first time doing it, and this is a massive undertaking.
Okay. I'm going to stop you right here, because you keep saying this and you're just going to end up continuing to dig yourself into this hole when you're just wrong on it. So again, this was released here back in May 22nd of 2018. The New York Islanders hired Lou Lamoriello as president, as their president of hockey operations Tuesday. And Toronto chose not to bring back GM Lou Lamoriello. He was a GM and president of hockey operations, is what Lou Lamoriello's title was.
Okay. So the Islanders are not having a president of hockey ops now.
How do you know that?
Because they said they're not looking to hire anybody else. That's what all the reporting is. They're not looking to hire anyone else. They're not making any more hires. This guy's in charge. This guy's in charge. Look at The Athletic. Look at Chris Botta.
Chris Botta knows nothing. I like Chris Botta, but nobody knows. Now I think people will start knowing things, but he didn't know what was going on beforehand. He was talking just like I was talking about, oh, Lou's still around. This is so discouraging. All this other stuff like that.
Who was right on that, by the way? Who was right on that?
Okay, well,
yeah, okay. Just say it's me. It's all right.
I don't know how you're turning that from I was bringing up a point about Chris Botta. Now you flipped it around, but that's fine.
Because that's right. You kept on saying that Lou Lamoriello was still going to be. I said, no, he's not. He's gone. He's fired.
I think it's a small possibility, but I don't think it's probable, but I think it could be possible.
They're not. Okay. They're not going to bring in a hockey ops guy. I'm on the record right now as saying that. Mathieu Darche is in charge of everything. Who's going to come in and be director of hockey ops when they don't have to pick who the GM or the coach is? Who's going to do that? Well, there you go. I mean, Mathieu Darche, I think if you say Mathieu Darche says, you know what, Chris Lamoriello, you're gone at Bridgeport. Who's going to be in charge of hockey ops then? Who's making that decision? It's going to be Mathieu Darche. I don't have a problem with that. My only concern is he's never done it before at this level. That's my only caveat to hiring him. The only one. I would have loved to have someone who'd been there, done that in the hockey ops portion of the job. That's it.
I will say, in an ideal scenario, I'd like to have a president of hockey operations too. maybe they're just going to go forward without it. I don't know. I don't know. They've had a president of hockey operations for years and years and years before in the past. I don't know why they would approach this year differently without a president of hockey operations, but I think that would only act as a benefit to the team. But again, I guess we'll find out as time continues, Grump.
I guess you could say the same thing about, you know, I don't know. I don't know where my train of thought went there. Forget
I know
it.
you're reading something. I don't know what you're doing, Grumpy.
Well, I want to bring it up and just tell you what they said, that they're not looking to hire anyone else. I mean,
who said that?
Arthur Staple. Matthew, okay, this is from John Collins in his review.
Arthur Staple, just by the way, was the same. Listen real quick. He was the same guy not even a week or 2 weeks ago saying, oh, there's a possibility. Maybe Lou is still involved somehow. Nobody knows shit.
Okay. This is from John Collins in his release. Matthew is the perfect choice to lead our hockey operations. He will be given every resource available to put the Islanders first in class on the ice with our business initiatives and in the community. Matthew has served as a key member of the Tampa Bay Lightning and his diverse background and top-level business models. He's a proven winner and is committed, as is our ownership group, to building a group that'll be highly competitive next season and beyond. When he says he's the perfect choice to lead our hockey operations, what does that say to you? What does it say to you?
Hockey operations.
President of fucking hockey ops. That's what it says.
They would have given him the title then. It's a robust term, Grump. I'll say this, though. I'm happy that's the guy they selected.
He's leading our hockey ops. That's what he just said.
Oh, he did not.
That's what he just said. He just said that. Those are in quotes. Quote.
Read the quote again.
The guy to lead us in hockey ops. Close quote. I don't know what else you can say. That's his statement. Yeah. That's a statement from one of the co-owners. He's the hockey ops guy. I don't know why you were fighting me on the Lou Lamoriello thing 3 weeks ago. Now you're fighting me on this. I'm right. You're wrong. Let's go with the status quo that I am right and you are wrong. And this show goes great.
Simple as that. If they hire a head of hockey operations, which they've always had before in the past, you're wrong.
You're right. That's right. But you know what? I'm right.
Okay. Well, we're just going to go, I guess, title this. We don't need a head of hockey operations this year.
Who's the head of hockey ops?
That's just odd that he wasn't given that title.
Executive vice president.
That's not head of hockey operations. That's not head of hockey operations.
Okay. For those who are hard of hearing, I'll read it again. Matthew is the perfect choice to lead our hockey operations. And for the people who aren't listening, that's you, TJ. That is right out of the owner's mouth.
Oh my gosh. There's a lot of things that encompass hockey operations.
You're doing it again. Let's move on to something else. I'm not getting into this. This is the same ridiculous Lou Lamoriello is staying and has input on the team argument from 3 weeks ago.
I never said that.
You absolutely did.
It's possible, not probable.
It was impossible then. It was not possible then. I was proven right. Guess what else is not possible?
I gave him a 10%.
They're not hiring a guy for hockey ops. Not happening. They have one. His name is Mathieu Darche.
So you think there's a 0% chance to hire
Zero. 0.0 chance.
What if I told you I think there's a 50-50 chance they hire somebody for hockey operations?
I don't know. It's the same thing you said with Lou Lamoriello, and you came up snake eyes on that one too.
I said 5 to 10% chance. 5
Let's
to 10%.
just say I'm not taking you to Vegas and letting you roll the dice.
A 5 or 10% chance.
I'll get some pretty girl to blow on my dice, and then I'll throw them. That's what I'll do. It's not going to be you.
So you're playing dice when you go to Vegas?
Shooting dice. They have the pretty girl.
Craps table, huh?
Blow on it, and they throw them. Hey, look, 7. Yeah, woo-woo. You know what? They're not coming up. They're not coming up. President of hockey ops. When they have president of hockey ops on the die, you know what it looks like? Mathieu Darche. That's what it is, because that's who the president of hockey ops.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Oh my gosh. Anywho, we'll see how it transpires.
It has already transpired. If Mathieu Darche dies tomorrow, then they might bring in a guy for hockey ops. He's 48. I think he's going to make it.
We'll see. We'll see how it is. We'll see how it transpires, Grumpy. Nonetheless, I'm happy with the hire, right? Like, I don't want this to take away. I'm happy with the hire. I'm happy he's our new GM. And if he's acting in the role of president of hockey operations, I'm happy about that too. I'm happy. He's capable. He's young. He's 48 years old. He's been heavily involved. He had more of an executive role when he first started out with Tampa on the actual hockey operations side. And then he added the additional title of assistant general manager the last 3 or 4 years. So he's got experience. He's got a robust amount of, a large amount of experience in that field, not only from the hockey operations standpoint, but also from the GMs or the assistant GM side. I'm perfectly fine if they couldn't find somebody else to fit in this head of hockey operations role if he's handling both of those for right now. It's much better than what we had 2 months ago.
Well, that's for certain. Do you have any? Is there anything that concerns you with the new president of hockey ops, Mathieu Darche? Anything that concerns you with him?
I don't have any concerns yet, but it's one of those things as a track record starts to be developed, I think then I'll have probably concerns. Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't have any. I don't have an immediate concerns. Do you have immediate concerns? I
My
don't.
concerns.
Good.
My concerns are: is he going to be able to revamp the entire organization? Because he hasn't done that yet. He does not have that experience. That's my only qualm. That's it.
Do you think by firing the most incompetent GM in AHL history, which is Chris Lamoriello, you think that may help it? I do. I think just removing him right alone fixes about 95% of your problems. He has been a GM of an AHL roster 20 years. He did it, whatever, in the New Jersey one when his dad used to be GM there, and he's been president of hockey ops, and he's done it for the Islanders for so many years. In the 20 years he has been the GM of an AHL team, he has finished worst team in the league 5 out of those 20 years. He is your problem down there in Bridgeport. He is your problem, or not. He's your problem in the AHL affiliate. Simple as that. Getting rid of him, I think, it sets everything on the right path. It's really simple. You just had to get rid of Lou. So I think that's going to help fix the problem.
I would feel better if he just started cleaning house on the management side to start. Let's bring in some guys from Tampa. I'm sure he's got connections. Wasn't he with Montreal in the Montreal organization for a while also? I'm sure he has contacts around the league. Okay. I would like to see him say, you know what? We need to revamp our scouting system, which has been the same since Garth Snow, right? Think about how long that's been. You can say without a doubt that, you know what? This scouting group has not done great with the picks they've had. Now, they haven't had a whole lot of first-round draft picks. That's true, but it's an issue. It's a potential issue.
I just want to mention this, right? I'm nothing but fair and honest. Luis, thank you for this. Luis, he says, I mean, TJ, they say it right here on the Islanders Twitter page, Darche will be handling hockey ops. They say Darche will manage all aspects of the team's hockey operations. Okay, I am wrong. They're not hiring a head of hockey operations. He will be the head of hockey operations. When it says all aspects of the team's hockey operations, absolutely, I agree. There will be no head of hockey operations. He will be acting in the capacity of head of hockey operations, despite not having the title.
And that's why I said my only concern is he's never done it before at this level. That's my only concern. And I think a lot of people are excited. Hey, Mathieu Darche. Okay. It's because he has no track record that he's, this is great. You know what everyone's going to say? This is what I think he should do. That's what he's going to do. We have no idea what he's going to do. What would be best case scenario for Mathieu Darche in season 1?
Season 1 is to figure out. Well, first, you're going to need, when you step in, I'm going to break this down into 2 different answers. When you step in, Mathieu Darche needs to say, what type of track are we on? And what's the future vision for the team? That needs to be day 1. He already has that established, but that needs to be starting to be implemented. Whatever your track is, and I think the track should be, I think fans should agree with this too, starting to overhaul and re-image, reimagine, restructure the team from top down, as we mentioned. You're going to have to fire, and you're going to have to bring in your own guys. You're going to have to get rid of the country club atmosphere that has infested this Islanders team since Garth Snow was really hired. It's been there for almost 2 decades. You're going to have to get rid of that, dig it out, and it's going to oh man, I can't believe they fired Johnny. Oh, Johnny was such a this. Sorry, guys, this is a business. This is not a family. It's a business. Simple. We want to win games. As much as we like Johnny, the physio guy, we've got too many injuries popping up. We need to get somebody like, right. You're going to have to look at it. You're going to have to analyze from top down to do that. I think rebuild, restructure, that's what's needed. At the end of year one, which is a question you had asked, you need to know who is in your future plans based off of the how you're seeing. You got to tell Patrick Waugh, hey, this is the style we want to play. If the guys can play it, excellent. If they can't, okay, we need to know which guys we're going to start getting rid of to start structuring the team to play a style of hockey that's, number one, entertaining, but also is going to allow us to win games. We want to replicate what Tampa does. That's what we want to try to do, or whatever he wants to replicate as a GM, whatever style of hockey he wants. But you need to know fit in that future and which guys don't at the trade deadline of this year. So which guys do we need to move away? If they're young, if they're old, I don't give a shit. You need to have the plan as to who's going to fit the future plans for the team. That's what you need by the end of year one.
Okay. For me, it's revamp the scouting staff. Number one.
Sure.
Now, you're not going to be able to do anything this year.
Yes.
Can't do it. Yeah, and to me, you got to draft Mathieu Schaefer. Period. End of sentence, end of story. I don't want to see any trading down, guessing, trying to get somebody. No, can't do that. You know what? Sometimes let's just keep it simple, particularly with a team that's in a rebuild right now. So Mathieu Schaefer, that's it. Sorry, James Higgins, who's dropping like a stone in the rankings now, like we knew he would.
TSN, by the way, Craig Button had his rankings out really quick. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but his rankings now has James Higgins down to number 8. Just wanted to give you that update. I'll let you get back on it, though, Grump.
I saw that also. That makes him a little bit more appealing to me at number 8, where you can trade up. See, but I'm not giving up next year's number 1, not next year's Islanders number 1. Not happening.
Could you imagine if he falls down to number 10?
I don't think he's going to fall that far. I don't.
He's falling, it feels like, every single week, and you wonder what is there behind the scenes that people like you and I don't know. But the reason why all of these scouts and analysts are dropping him in unison down the board, what is it that we don't know about him that's causing that worry and concern? Because there is something.
I heard it's the fact that he's a perimeter Pete. He does not want to get in the dirty areas. Well, I mean, he's not the biggest guy in the world, right? But still, at number 8, I'm exploring trying to do something for him. Maybe it's I'll move Romanoff and maybe Colorado's first next year, even though I really don't want to do that in that draft. But if you can get Higgins, who should honestly be certainly a top 5 talent in this year's draft, you can roll the dice on something like that. I'm fine with that because it's part of the rebuild. Here's what I don't want to see. And I think also in the course of the year, I don't think he's going to move a whole lot of guys out. I think he's going to see who can do what. He's got to talk to Patrick Waugh. What type of team do you want? And what can we do? What type of player are you looking for? And what can we do to get you that player? These are the type of things I think he needs to be in lockstep with the head coach. And I don't think Lamoriello and Waugh were.
So you think Patrick Waugh is here long-term then?
I think he'll be here this year for certain. He's got 3 years left on his contract.
My thing is, you think, okay, he's here long-term. He's maybe a long-term solution for us.
I think he'll be here this year for certain. I absolutely think he will be.
Okay.
I mean, and number 1, like I said, scouting staff, absolutely. I think you're going to see him revamp that scouting staff. These are the same scouts from when Garth Snow was here. How many years ago? That's not like the Islanders have had the greatest drafting record. They just haven't. Yeah. And number 2, Bridgeport. You need to fix Bridgeport. You need to get you need to invest some money in that product. And I'm not saying, hey, this, that, and the other thing, let's get better on ice, theatrics or whatever. I'm talking about the coaching staff, the direction of Bridgeport. What is Bridgeport here for?
Do you not think that's good?
I don't think that I don't think that's been a focus for the Islanders organization for years, if ever.
Okay. It was a laughing stock before Lou joined. And when Charles Wong still had the team and main ownership, it was a laughing stock. Not only was the AHL affiliate a laughing stock, the NHL team was a laughing stock. You couldn't even get the NHL in order. You weren't going to say, let me go ahead and focus on the A. That just wasn't going to be the case. And when Lou stepped in, it was like, oh, hey, you want to know why it was a laughing stock beforehand? Because Chris Lamoriello was involved. I really do believe the AHL is going to it's going to be a much easier fix in the AHL as you think, because day one, it's, hey, Chris, pack your bags. We're finding somebody new. We've got somebody. I've got a few connections. I'm putting somebody else in charge of Bridgeport. You're gone. That I
Yes.
think is going to help source a lot of that issue out, because how many of these guys have we had in Bridgeport for years? And again, I'm just throwing names out here. Like, we had Chris Terry for years. Is Chris Terry still on that team? There's so many
He's still on
names
the
that,
team.
like,
I mean, Brent Thompson was head coach of that team for how many years?
and they were awful, and they're awful now too. But yes,
But I think that's why I'm like, I don't know if the job for somebody who's really new to it, that's an awful lot to do in 1 year. In the short term, maybe
if you
he
have
brings
somebody
in,
you trust though for the AHL affiliate, put him in charge and let him run with it.
right. And that's why somebody from Tampa. That's what I
Sure.
would do. I would look, you can say whatever you want about Tampa not drafting well or whatever. They're in it to win it every year. Okay.
Yep.
And the final piece is Isaac Howard. Did not want to play for Tampa for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is. Maybe he has a good relationship with Howard, and it's somebody maybe the Islanders could acquire for this year's second round pick. And I'd be fine with that, because he's a kid who can contribute right away, because we're a little bit lacking in high impact forwards at this point in time. We just are. So that's a move that I would not be opposed to. I don't think he's going to move a whole lot of guys off. I think they're going to look and see what they have and maybe make moves at the deadline. You can't move everybody at one time. The Islanders have a lot of cap space. What are they going to do with it? I think those are fair questions.
Yeah, I don't think really we can expect many moves, and I don't have the expectation of expect a lot of moves from him early on. I don't, at least regarding player personnel decisions. I'd be shocked if there's anything substantial. I do think if we do even draft Matthew Schaefer, and I think that's the no-brainer, I think that's what we're going to do, I'm not even sure we look to move Romanoff immediately. Again, like, I think he's an RFA, but I do agree with what we talked about earlier on. You've got so many of those defensemen locked in from that side. It's just like, what are you going to do? You're going to pay Romanoff big money unless you give Romanoff a bridge deal.
Okay, Romanoff will be a third pairing defenseman after this year, because your first pairing is going to, in next year, is going to be Schaefer and Dobson. Second pairing, if you decide, is going to be Pulak and Pelech. Maybe you move Pulak, but I'm just talking about left-hand defensemen. George, I believe, is a left shot defenseman. You're going to want to see what he can do. Alexander Romanoff would be on your third pairing. That's not optimal. You don't want to pay a guy like that big money. We're already doing that with Scott Mayfield. Some defensemen have to go. I have some crazy ideas what I want to do in the offseason. And when TJ comes back, I'm going to ask him. He's going to shoot me down. But I have a whole thing mapped out how I would handle this offseason to make the Islanders. It might not work. It's pie in the sky, I have to admit. But I want to see if they can maybe attract Mitch Marner. Why not? Why not? But I mean, if you can come out of this offseason with James Higgins and Isaac Howard and Matthew Schaefer, I think you've had a pretty good, productive offseason. You've gotten young talent that you can build around. There's not a whole, I know a lot of people saying, oh, well, the Islanders have this, they're really loaded in talent. They're not that far away. No, they're light years away. They're light years away. You've seen what the product has been in recent years. How many guys on this team are immovable, honestly? Matthew Schaefer, maybe Ilya Sorokin. That's it. For the right price, anybody else could be had. You don't want to get Matt Barzal. Bo Horvat's been serviceable. But other than that, and Noah Dobson, who else? Who else can you say, man, these are guys that we can really build around? That's the issue that the Islanders have right now. I think everyone should be available for the right price. I don't think they're going to move like I mentioned, I don't think they're going to move a whole lot of people once the season, before the season starts. They're going to have to move some defensemen. They're absolutely have 9 defensemen, NHL defensemen. That's too many. That's where the Marner thing comes in for me. The Islanders have like $29 million in cap space. I don't know if he's even interested in coming, but I can dream, can't I? You could bring him in. You could move a guy, like I said, of Romanoff, move him out. Maybe you move out one of Pulak or Mayfield if it's possible. You move somebody like Pajot or Lee, and it keeps you interesting to the fans. Because if you're looking for rebuild, Mitch Marner is still going to put Heine's in the seats. I mean, there's no doubt about that, because he'd be the best player on our team right from the get-go. All right, he hasn't been great in the playoffs. I don't care about the playoffs. You're on a rebuilding team right now. If you could have somebody like that in your organization with a Hagens, with a Barzell, with a Horvat, with a Dobson, with a Schaefer, with a Sorokin, okay, then you got Yzerman coming up. You got, maybe Danny Nelson will turn into something. You could see where the team is going in the next couple of years. But again, for me, most important thing to start the year is to make sure that you get a new scouting staff. That's not going to happen. That'll be after the draft. But you want to bring in your own type of scouts. This is a direction we don't want to have a plotting team. We want to have a team that's fast on offense, aggressive on the forecheck, whatever they decide. That's what we want to have. It's not going to be the Lou Lamoriello system. I can guarantee you that. And then you want to say, okay, let's get Bridgeport, because when we do draft these guys, we want somebody developing our way so that they can come in and fit right into our system, because it's the same we're playing the same system throughout our organization. That's what teams need to do. You don't want them doing totally different things. How can you identify guys? You want people to be able to teach the Cole Yzermans how to play some defense, how to have more compete. You want to have guys like that. I don't know if you heard what I said.
I did. Okay. Want to mention about the Mitch Marner thing.
And I don't think it's probable now with Brendan Shanahan not being here, but I drew up a whole thing how it could work and you could fit him underneath the cap. Absolutely. It could happen. I mean, but it's pie in the sky. But if I'm GM, that's what I would do. Right? I mean, if you're looking at a rebuild or even a hard retool, whatever you want to call it, wouldn't you want to make sure people still show up to games? Mitch Marner keeps people showing up to games. And here's the thing. I draft Schaefer. There's no way he plays in the NHL this year. Not a chance.
I think there's so many. I think if we do things right, depending on what happens with James Hagens, right? Because that's I think a bigger question. Next year's a much deeper draft, but depending on how far Hagens drops, you're adding Schaefer. I do think, right, there's going to be an Isaac Howard connection, and there's going to be a lot of rumors swirling around simply because, right, Hobie Baker Award winner for the best college hockey last year. He won that, and he's made it known that he does not want to play for the Tampa Bay Lightning organization. So is that also he's unhappy with a guy like Mathieu Darche? I don't know. There's a lot of speculation around it. But if you're able to say in this offseason, right, I think as you had mentioned just a while ago, you add Schaefer. Depending on what Hagens happens to him, maybe you trade back up in the first round. You pick a guy like Hagens. You add a guy like Isaac Howard. You've already got your Cole Yzerman. You've already got your Callum Ritchie. You've got guys in the bottom 6 that could fill out like your Danny Nelsons, things like that. I think immediately what happens is you go from a team where a real point of weakness of ours was our prospect pool and our young players.
Young and fast, right?
Yep. And now you're in a spot to where it's like, again, all of these guys are not going to hit. If they all did, we would be singing and dancing in the streets because it'd be fantastic. Not all these guys are going to hit, but even if half or more than half hit, this is fantastic. And you've revamped the prospect pool overnight almost.
You re-energize the whole organization.
Sure.
That's what you do. And then you can, like I said, and remember, let's say Marner gets $14 million a year. $13.5 million a year. That's going to be affordable in this year's 13.5. 3-4 years from now, maybe it's worth that's like 10. And that's a steal for Mitch Marner. And I'm not saying I felt better if Shanahan was coming in because they have a relationship. I don't think it's going to happen. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with shooting for the moon on that. You want to make a splash as an organization, that's what you do. And you can't say that he sucks or whatever. The kid can play.
No, I don't think he sucks at all or anything like that.
How would you like a first line of Horvat, Barzell, and Marner? That's right, top 5 in the league. Would you not say top 5 in the league?
I think like in regular season, absolutely. I really do.
That's all I care about right now.
Here's the thing I'm worried and concerned about. You don't want to continue to anchor yourself down to Mitch. How old's Mitch Marner?
27.
He'll still be very adequate, I think, in his early 30s. As I've mentioned plenty of times, he's not a playoff player. He's just not.
I don't care about that. Again, if you listen to what I said, if you're going into a rebuild, it keeps fans coming through the turnstiles.
The things that keeps fans coming through the turnstiles is integrating the young up-and-coming players that are going to be the future of your team. That's what keeps people energized. The Mathieu Darche, that's what keeps people energized.
I understand. But if you had a guy like Marner, it keeps people coming next year. And Mitch Marner is he's a top 15 player in the league, right? He'd be by far the best player on this team. By far.
I think it's debatable. I don't think he's a top 15 player in the league.
Oh, okay. I disagree. I think he's great. I think he's really good.
You think he's better than Rantanen?
Rantanen didn't do shit this year.
You think
if you just want to go on this year's stats, he's better than Rantanen.
I'm asking, do you think he's better than Rantanen? Do you think if you said GMA, would you take Rantanen or would you take Mitch Marner? Who do you think they're taking?
I think he's going to age better than Rantanen is.
Very simple question. Who are you taking, Rantanen or Mitch Marner?
I'm taking Marner because Rantanen's not available, so I'm taking Marner.
You taking Draisaitl or you taking Marner?
Draisaitl. You
taking McDavid or you taking Marner?
Okay, McDavid. Okay, you're talking about top 5 guys in the league.
Okay, here's the thing.
Rantanen's not a top 5 guy in the league.
You taking Cale Makar or are you taking Mitch Marner?
He's not a forward. He's not a forward.
You don't mean top 15 player. You mean top 15 forward. That's different.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
He's not even the best forward on his team.
We have Matthew Schaefer on our team. We don't need Cale Makar.
He's not even the best. He's not even the best forward on his team. That's what I'm sorry. No.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just saying. So you would turn down Mitch Marner if he wanted to come to the Islanders. I want to make sure on the record you're on the record for this.
Depends on what the cap hit is.
I don't care what it is. You have $29 million in cap space. You have guys.
As soon as Lou walks out the door, Grumpy's starting to sound more and more Lou-esque. I don't care what the cap hit is.
Mitch Marner is not Scott Mayfield. He's not Pierre Engvall. He's not Bo Horvat. He's Mitch Marner. He'd be by far the best player on the Islanders team if he signed here. By far. By far. So. The number 1 player on the team. I don't think that's
who he's been playing alongside. Think who he's been playing alongside in the style he's been playing all his career.
Maybe that's the style. Maybe that's a Patrick Waugh style. Maybe they want to have up-tempo style. I don't understand the hatred for Mitch Marner. Or maybe just because he played for Toronto. I don't know.
I don't hate Mitch Marner. Here's the thing. This is the best regular season he's ever had. Again, the guy consistently is like 20 goal a year guy. He's had a few with 30, but he's usually around 20-ish goals.
How many points do you have this year? What have his point totals been?
Most points he's ever had, 102 points.
Okay, that's by far better than anybody the Islanders have ever had.
If Matt Barzal was on that Toronto team, he'd have over 100 points a year.
But he's not. But he's not.
He's a better player than Mitch Marner. Simple as that. Matt Barzal does more than Mitch Marner would do in the same exact situation in a role with our team. Simple.
I'm astounded that you would want Mitch Marner on this team. It's astounding to me. All he costs is money. All he costs is money.
I think you're drastically overvaluing what Mitch Marner is and what he can do.
Okay. I'm sorry. I want high-end talent on the team. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want a bunch of fourth-line pluggers. Let's bring in some more Pierre Engvalls. Let's bring in 6 Pierre Engvalls because that equals 1 Mitch Marner.
Nope. I don't want guys like that.
Okay. Like I said, if
I don't want Mitch Marner, though.
And here's the thing, I don't even think Mitch Marner wants to come to. I don't think he wants to be part of a rebuild. But if he did and he said, I want to play there, you'd be foolish not to invest in a guy like that. Foolish.
I'm not paying $14 or $15 million a year for Mitch Marner.
I didn't say 15. I said 13 and a half or 14.
I'm not paying $14 million a year for Mitch Marner.
Okay, I would. When you have that type of money, I would absolutely do that.
Guess what? You're going to have other players you got to pay that are a little bit more valuable than your Marners.
Who?
What do you think you're going to pay Noah Dobson in that equation, Grump?
Let's say you pay Noah Dobson $9 million a year.
Let's say 10, just for hypothetical sake. Let's say 10.
Okay, fine. Let's say 10. That's
Okay.
fine. Who else do you have? Who else do you have?
Your cap space is eaten up.
Who you have $29 million in cap space. Who else do you need to resign? You have Holmstrom, who's going to get maybe $2 million a year, and you have Romanoff, who's maybe would get $4 million. But you can move. You're going to have to move somebody
out of cap space in that scenario.
Okay, but you can move somebody. Everybody else is signed. And all you need to do is move one guy off your team, and everybody fits under the cap. That's what I'm saying. They have a lot of cap space this year if used properly and if you're capable of moving someone off of this team in the offseason. I don't think it's that much of an ask.
You're putting a lot on Callum Ritchie to fit in. And
I think Callum Ritchie is going to be your number 3 center. Yes. Okay. Pajot will be your number 2 center. He gets moved at the deadline. Anders Lee moved at the deadline. Those are the type of moves that you make. And you still have, maybe you bring in Isaac Howard. I have no problem with that. He's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. But he's going to want the opportunity. The biggest concern is comes to that. Mathieu Darche knows why he didn't want to sign. If he's not interested in him, then it says more about the kid than it says about Tampa's organization.
Yeah, perhaps. I don't disagree with that. I'm not in on the Mitch Marner stuff. Even if this wake up on Christmas morning it happened, right? Because I'll be honest, the Islanders these last month and a half they've been cashing wins left and right. This has been the most positive I think I've been on the Islanders, their future and potential trajectory since the back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals run. The most optimistic I've been about this team probably in a solid 4 or 5 years.
Does Mitch Marner make this team better immediately and in the long term?
Not in the long term, but immediately. Yes.
How do you say he doesn't make the team better in the long term?
What's the long term?
6 years.
No. I mean, what do you mean making the team better in the long term? Is that to make the playoffs or to be effective in the playoffs? Because I think that's the goal, right? We've always talked about this. To be fair, honest, and consistent, the goal is not to squeak into the playoffs. 4, 5, 6 years from now, we should be making the playoffs year in and year out. With the draft picks, with the restructuring, that should be an expectation every year to make the playoffs. If we're going to be in a playoff spot, adding a guy like Mitch Marner, who's an absolute zero in the postseason.
Okay, he's not an absolute zero in the playoffs. You're mistaken there. He's not an absolute zero.
What did he do in the playoffs?
I don't know. Why don't you look up what he did in the playoffs this year?
Don't worry, I'll pull it up for you.
Because when you call somebody a zero, that means no goals, no assists, no points. That's a zero.
He's a zero.
He's a zero. Okay.
Yeah, he's a zero. I'll pull it up. Don't worry, though.
Yeah.
He's an absolute.
Post it up there so everyone can look at the numbers. You could say everyone on Toronto is a zero in the playoffs because they got beat by Florida.
Guess what?
Just steamrolling the shit out of everybody.
The only guy I would ever I'd ever take from Toronto is Austin Matthews.
He ain't done shit in the playoffs either. He's done nothing in the playoffs either. He's another zero in the playoffs. You want to know who their best player performer is? John freaking Tavares.
John Tavares.
John Tavares is their best playoff performer.
Yeah, he's clutch. Simple.
You want to bring him back? Maybe we could bring him back.
No. So against Florida, he had 1 goal and 4 assists.
5 points in 7 games. That's not a zero, by the way.
Against Ottawa, he racked up a shit ton of points against Ottawa. He had 3 points game 1, 1 point game 2, 4 points. He only had 1 goal. He only scored 2 goals the entire playoffs. Okay.
How many points did he have? Oh, it doesn't matter. Points are points.
Okay.
How many points did he have in the playoffs and how many games?
He had 13 points in 13 games.
A point a game guy in the playoffs. And you're saying no to that. Okay.
It did help that hold on. It did help that he absolutely edged Ottawa. It
He
did.
only played. Okay, you know what? And he did. He had 5 points against Florida, who's just blowing the shit out of Carolina in the third period. 5 goals in the third period.
It's worth saying this about Carolina. Carolina has lost 15 straight Eastern Conference Finals games. That is worth noting. That is worth noting.
Who have they played?
Multiple different teams.
Every team that's won the Stanley Cup. That's who they've played.
They have not won a single game. They haven't won a single game, though.
Okay.
Not even by lucky we squeak out one win.
Okay. Tampa and Florida have been absolutely dominant in their runs. No one's beating Florida this year.
You don't even win one game. It's embarrassing.
Well, you know what? They played well today, and Florida's too big, too physical, and too skilled.
They're on the way to getting swept for the 4th time in a row in the Eastern Conference.
I don't care. I don't care. You're right. They don't, but we knew they don't match up with Florida. They don't match up with Tampa. They're too big and physical for them. That is true. You know who else didn't? Toronto didn't. You know who else didn't? Edmonton didn't. You know who else didn't? Vegas didn't. You want to know who else didn't? Montreal didn't.
Vegas, I think Vegas, I think Vegas gets the wrong end of the stick when it comes to, I think a lot of teams, and I think Dallas is going to start catching the wrong end of the stick because I think the NHL wants to have a rematch of Edmonton against Florida. I really do firmly believe that. I do. That's what I believe. They want McDavid out there on the ice as often as possible.
If they want McDavid to win a Stanley Cup, they better find some way to have Florida lose in the semifinal because they're just. Let me tell you something. Them having to go 7 games after going 3-0 up on Edmonton last year was really good for the Florida organization. They learned how to win. They know how to win. They are really freaking good. They remind me of the New York Islanders. You know how? And back in the glory days, they can play any style game and beat you. That's why they're so good.
I think they get a lot of calls that go their way to Florida. They benefit from playing the playoff style of hockey, boarding the shit out of players. Again, here's the thing. It's
they scored 5 goals in 6 minutes against Carolina.
Carolina doesn't have a goalie.
Well,
Freddie Anderson's not a good goalie. Peter Kochekhov's not a goalie. Carolina has plenty of issues. We're not talking and going in depth on Carolina. Carolina blows. They have their issues.
Carolina doesn't blow. Carolina does not blow. They just don't match up with those big physical teams.
When it comes to taking the well, guess what? When you're really good, but you never get over the hump, you're not, and you've been sitting over there the whole time, you have to adjust it. You have to adjust it.
But here's the thing.
Keep signing back Freddie Anderson every single year on 1-year deals and expect it to fix the fucking problem.
When you have an owner who does not want to spend money and wants to cheap it out, you can't, and that's an organizational thing. That doesn't say about the players. Let me tell you something. Carolina is the dominant team in the Metro.
I agree.
No one beats Carolina in the Metro. No one beats Carolina in the Metro. No one beats Carolina in the Metro. Nobody.
We agree. The Metro sucks, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're the best team in a probably the worst division in all of hockey.
What's the best division in hockey?
Atlantic, probably.
The Atlantic. It's been the Atlantic for a decade now. It's been the Atlantic for a decade. Has been the best team, the best division in the league. It's why they win Stanley Cups year after year. It's why they're in the Stanley Cup. They're really, really good. I mean,
getting back on topic, it's devolved from our Mitch Marner talk to where now we're at here.
Well, because you just think Mitch Marner sucks, but his numbers say otherwise. That's all I'm saying. And is Mitch Marner a perfect player? No, he's not, but nobody is. Nobody is. But if you could sign him just for money when you're flush with cash this offseason and you don't do it because, he didn't average 10 points a game in the playoffs and he lost to Florida. You know what? We're not where Toronto is. We're closer. We have to worry about teams like Columbus, teams like the Devils. Those are the teams we have to top even to make the playoffs. Younger teams who are developing.
Our goal is next year is not to make the playoffs. That's not our goal. Here it is, newsflash, guys. Our goal next year is not to make the playoffs. Our goal is to forge a path in the direction that the team is going to be on and to start to gut out the float and the bloat. I'm sorry, on that side. That is our goal for next year. Our goal is to make sure we have a direction that the Islanders, they're no longer directionless as an organization. Our job is to make sure that we're starting to get rid of the people who are no longer part of the solution. That's the goal for next year. If we make the playoff, it's icing on top of the cake. I do not have the expectation that the Islanders are making the playoffs, and nor should you. That should not be the expectation for next year.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I'm just, like I said, I just can't believe that you wouldn't take Mitch Marner on this team if you could just get him for money. Not like you're paying $20 million a year. You're not hamstringing yourself going forward. You have guys coming off your cap with these bloated deals in the next few years. They're all coming off, and you'll have a young core coming in, so you can pay a couple of guys big money.
I'd pay a guy like a Kachuk $14 million a year before I did Marner.
I would.
Kachuk's not a free agent. I would pay a guy. I'd rather have a Kachuk, any Brady or Matthew, than a fucking Mitch Marner.
Okay,
I'd rather have
available.
I know.
They're not available.
There's a reason why Mitch Marner is going to be maybe available. There's a reason for that.
Because he doesn't want to re-sign in Toronto.
Why is that?
I just think you're crazy.
Why does he not want to re-sign in Toronto?
Because he wants to go somewhere else. Maybe it's not. I mean, if you're Toronto and you're watching these playoffs, you know what you say to yourself? Shit, maybe we should bring the band back together. We were the closest team to even give Florida a run for the money.
Here's what I'm saying.
They win Game 7. What are you saying about Mitch Marner?
I'm going on the record. Florida's losing the Stanley Cup Finals. Book it now. Today is May the 24th.
Okay.
Florida's losing in the Stanley Cup.
They're winning the Stanley Cup Finals.
Let me tell you, it doesn't matter if it's a Dallas, and I think Dallas, if the league doesn't put a hand in it, Dallas is beating Edmonton. Dallas is going to steamroll them.
You're wrong.
5 games, Dallas in a series.
Okay.
4 games.
Have you watched any of the games? Have you watched any of the playoff games at all?
Yes.
I know the answer is no. That's why I'm asking.
I've watched the games.
Yeah, you haven't watched games.
I've watched the games. And you know what? It's just like every single year. As much as things change, nothing ever changes. Guess what? Carolina makes it to another Eastern Conference Finals. They get swept.
And the Atlantic Division wins the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
nothing ever changes. You're right. Nothing ever changes.
That's where that's going to change, Grumpy. That's where that's going to change. Don't you worry. Florida is done. They're done.
Why don't you read our ad, since you wandered away for an hour and a half and I had to carry the show as usual?
You did. You stepped up big time, Grumpy, in the clutch. I appreciate that. So I'll read the ad. Don't worry. Okay, give me a second.
It's important knowing that Mitch Marner could become a member of the New York Islanders. I don't know. You know, there's another idiot who doesn't really want Mitch Marner. You know what his name is?
Who's that?
Your pal Phil.
Oh man, now I'm worried about my take.
You should be worried about your take.
Gosh.
And again, who's right all the time? Me. I hate to toot my own horn, but when I have to listen to clowns like you and your pal, it just makes me feel good. That's all I have to say.
Alrighty, today's podcast is brought to you by DraftKings. The fastest game on ice just hit another gear. Welcome to the Stanley Cup playoffs, where legends are made and every shift can turn the tide. And now DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can take every slap shot, breakaway, and overtime thriller to the next level. If you're new to betting on Stanley Cup playoffs, guess what? You're in for an exciting time. Getting started is a breeze. Fire up the DraftKings Sportsbook app and aim the win. Lock in your wager, and you're off to the races. It's fast, it's simple, and it puts you right in the middle of the action. You know, as I mentioned before, if you're locking in, you can lock in. As of today, Florida's losing the Stanley Cup Finals. I don't care. Whoever's coming out of the West is beating them. Don't worry. You go ahead and look at that.
What a ham-handed segue that was.
You could go ahead and put yourself wagers on pretty much anything. You could say, hey, I'm expecting the Carolina Hurricanes to lose their 16th straight Eastern Conference Finals game when they play again on Monday or Tuesday, whenever it is next that they're going to lose to the Florida Panthers. You can bet on a lot of different teams. How many guys are going to score, what you think saves percentages are going to be, shot totals. You can bet on literally pretty much anything regarding the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs on DraftKings. But here's the kicker. New customers who bet just $5 will score $300 in bonus bets. That is the highest. Usually it's like 200 or 250. 300 is the highest ever since I've been reading these ads in the 5+ years we've had DraftKings as a sponsor that they are giving out here for any sort of event. So again, you can bet just $5 and score $300 in bonus bets if their wager hits. That's right. Turn $5 into a playoff payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN. Again, that's promo code THPN to unlock $300 in bonus bets when your $5 bet wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, you can call 877-8-HOPE-NY, or you can text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available if you have a problem for gambling. You can call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of the Boot Hill Casino and Resort. You must be 21 years or older, but age varies by jurisdiction. It's void in Ontario. The bet must win to receive the reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. And for additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I understand this.
Good.
Your bet, you have to win your bet to get the 300 bonus bucks?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
but you know what I would bet? Florida.
Florida to win and sweep Carolina. I think that's a pretty safe bet at this time period.
I think so.
I'll tell you one thing. You think Brandon Moore's seat gets a little hot?
Whose?
Do you think Brandon Moore's seat's at all hot?
Why? They've just beaten by a better team. Florida's just a better team. There's no crime getting beat by a better team. It's when you're the better team and you lose, that's when you're on the hot seat. They don't match up physically with Florida. Florida has skill, size, and determination. They know how to win.
Do you think that nerd Polsky's going to get a goalie finally too?
He needs to get a goaltender. It's the
Do you
same
think
thing.
That little bookworm's going to get it?
He signed Anderson back to a 1-year deal. So how much can he's not signing to a long-term extension. I think they should go get a number one and because Kochekov's not the guy. Okay. No. And you go out and you get yourself a true number one and let Freddie Anderson be the backup. He can't even stay healthy for the whole year.
They have so many draft picks. It's time that Carolina starts turning that into some advancements in their playoff hunt. Getting to the Eastern Conference Finals is a hell of an achievement, but when you get swept, I think it just takes a little bit of the wind out of the sails, if that makes sense.
They have a bunch of guys coming up defense. Remember, to me, this was a transition year for Carolina.
I think so too.
I mean, they took the big swing on Rantanen. It didn't work out. He didn't want to resign there. Okay. At least they took a shot at it. And they've never done that before. That's a real departure from what they've done in the past. They bring in Stankoven, who fits what they do, but Stankoven he's small, and Rantanen's a big guy. All right. I mean, I like Rantanen. I mean, has he really done anything away from Nathan McKinnon? He had a nice last round of the playoffs to get him to the next round. But other than that, he was invisible in the regular season for the most part. He did not have a great regular season this year.
Do you think because he played on 3 teams that may have affected his regular season performance a little bit?
I don't know. I'm just saying he did not perform up to what he had done in the past this year. That's all I'm saying.
He had 64 points in 49 games for Colorado, 6 points in 13 games for the Carolina Hurricanes, and in 20 games for Dallas, he had 18 points. And in the playoffs, he's played 15 games and has 20 points.
Yeah, okay. I'm not saying he sucks. I'm just saying he compared to his other years, he has not performed as he has in the past. That's all I said.
I just think maybe if you switch 3 teams in a year, that may have something to do with affecting your production a little bit.
Maybe he wasn't a fit for what Carolina does.
I agree with that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Carolina needs it. But, here's the thing. Carolina is not an organization that's going to attract big-name free agents. They're just not. They're a small arc team. I know. I live here.
They don't like to spend money either.
That's right. That's the owner. They tried. They tried to sign him. They tried to sign Gensel. It was a buck late. It was a day late and $1 short. They should have re-signed him right away. Instead, Tampa gets him.
Yeah, they've got issues. Anywho, I mean, like they're gonna have to fix them. They need to. It's embarrassing when you continue to get swept in the Eastern Conference Finals year after year after year. You need to focus on how to take the next step. But let's start doing this. I'm happy. This is the most optimism I've had around the Islanders in this organization since the back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals run. And it's genuine excitement of this team. We've got rid of Lou. We won the draft lottery. We hired Mathieu Darche, who's part of a winning organization, who has that experience. He may not have a head general manager experience. He may have the shiny toy effect going on right now. Absolutely. I acknowledge that all of those things are true. But I feel optimistic that he can get the job done. I really do. So I have that level of optimism. I am the optimistic out of Grumpy and I'm back to my optimistic ways.
What?
You don't think I'm more optimistic about things than you?
You thought Lou was still in charge. You thought this guy wasn't director of hockey ops.
No. Okay. I did say at the beginning I didn't. And as soon as somebody brought it up that it said
I told you he was, and you didn't believe me.
As soon as it said all hockey operations, I agree. Completely it is. Simple. I'm not Grumpy. I'm not willing to admit. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. Simple as that.
Go ahead. Bumble that out. I'm surprised you didn't look. Hold on. Make sure there's no lightning coming through your house.
Keep reading comments there, Grumpy. Let's get on some comments.
Says, "Are the Hurricanes merely a bunch of foolers? Does Lou Lamoriello have a good sense of humor? I have no idea if he has a good sense of humor or not. You could say the way he runs the Islanders, he has a good sense of humor, thinking that team could win as currently constructed. But no, Carolina's not a bunch of foolers. They're just playing better teams, just like Toronto. They're playing just like Tampa this year. Tampa played Florida. Florida just damn good. It happens. It's like saying, Calgary sucked years ago because they couldn't, Edmonton was winning cups and Calgary only won one. Calgary was damn good. They got knocked out by somebody else every year. Doesn't mean they weren't a good team.
Let me ask you this. I think it's pretty much a lock. Bobrovsky, Hall of Famer, right?
They win a second Stanley Cup. Yeah. Because he'll have, does he have two Conn Smythe? Does he have
he has two Vezines.
Two Vezines and two cups? Yeah, he gets it.
Even if they don't win the Stanley Cup, I think he still gets in.
How is that contract for him looking now?
Perfect. It was great.
And who ripped that contract?
We both did.
Absolutely, we both did, right? Because $10 million a year for whatever, however many, 7 years, whatever it was, we ripped that. Said he wasn't going to be worth it. Guess what? Proven wrong. Wrong.
More than happy to admit we're proven.
Mitch Marner. Same thing.
I don't think it's
for the New York Islanders. Mitch Marner.
What hardware is Mitch Marner won? Just curious.
Going to win a Stanley Cup with the New York Islanders. That's what he's going to do. Hall of Famer, Mitch Marner.
Yeah, but I think, Bobrovsky probably almost a first ballot guy at this point.
I'm not going to say first ballot because I don't know how they make that
Stanley Cup. He wins another Stanley Cup. He's a first ballot guy.
Yeah, but that process is kind of janky.
Program
this says, by the way, TJ, you were wrong about the GM.
Never happier to be wrong in my life. Well, actually, it's second happiest time I was wrong. When they fired Lou the first time, I was wrong. Very happy to be wrong. And I'm happy to be wrong about this too. I like Mathieu Darche.
And who was right on those two things? Oh, that's right.
Grumpy.
What can we expect from Darche? Are weather conditions in Siberia harsh? I hear the summers are nice.
Yes, they are harsh in Siberia.
But I think we've spoken about Darche already.
Yes, Matthew S. says here. Good evening, gents. Darche. Nixie.
Okay, so TJ has to eat his words. They hired Darche. Who was an original candidate? It was Ken Holland, the guy they really wanted.
Yeah, I'm wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong. Very happy with the hire of Darche. That's simple.
Darche says, Bert Cassiano. Darche, change is coming. Yes, everyone's going to like the shiny new toy. I'm liking the shiny new toy until he proves me wrong.
He's like got the backup QB vibe to him right now.
Michael T says, Lou is dead.
There it is.
Bye-bye.
I will say the amount of people who are like, guys, we need to draft Schaefer and trade Dobson for the pick to get Hagans.
No.
That is absolutely not the way to do that.
No. You don't need to give up a valuable asset like Dobson to get Hagans. It's just dumb. Don't be fooled. Nick Canetta says, with Darche being from Tampa, does that give a better chance or worse chance at Howard? I will say that he has
real soon.
Yeah, he has the most information on Isaac Howard. I think that's fair. If we go and trade a second-round pick for him, and then I think that's a great move. Only Isaac Howard and Mathieu Darche and Brisebois and his agent know why he didn't want to play for Tampa. I just find it mystifying why he wouldn't want to play in that organization, unless he just figures, you know what, I want to be a top 6 player right now next year. Well, you know what, that works for the Islanders.
Yeah, we absolutely have spots available for something like that.
I would trade this year's second round pick for Isaac Howard. Absolutely. You notice how I changed? Last week I didn't want to give up any draft picks. Now I'm giving up firsts, seconds. I'm giving up everything now because we got new GM.
I will say again, like Isaac Howard, if he's the guy, he's ultra talented. He was drafted. They're always like he dropped. He's a small guy, very small, skilled forward, but very small. The skill is there. Again, the size is the only thing that's a question.
Prime Timer says, "Let's win the cup." There you go. I love that.
We're back on the train, baby. We're so in this. It's a generational run is up ahead for the Islanders. The best move since bringing Sorokin on board. Michael T.
New era for the Islanders. Very true. Very true.
Adventure Grump.
Grumpy, was sweet baby Liza late when she was born, or did she take after you, the warden? Did X show up? Did Warden have a happy birthday? Warden had a very happy birthday last week. X he did show up today for certain. He did. And baby Liza, I think she was kind of like right on. She was a little early, I believe.
No, she was induced. So right on time.
Okay. But okay. I thought it was early. I thought the lovely Paige wanted to get around. Get around.
Beards, high numbers, and respect to the fans. All are coming back.
Yeah.
That's right. Do you think do you think Darche tries to sign back the very important, crucial piece, Kyle Palmieri?
Not me. I wouldn't. See you later.
Oh, man.
Bye.
They were only going to give us a second-round pick for him. We just should have held on to him instead of getting that second-round pick. We should have held on to him. I'm glad we did. He helped our team out so much.
Then he could have picked up Isaac Howard and still had a second-round pick. That's why, again, the stupidity of Lou Lamoriello on full display at the trade deadline. Sorry. It just shows how out of touch he was. George Bay says, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last.
Amen, amen.
Brett Wayner says, between 8 and 9. Come on, TJ. When was the last time you started at 8? Laughed my butt off.
A while ago. That's for certain. George P. said, purge the country club. Absolutely. Freedom from adventure.
TJ, based on what I know, if I went to Vegas, I would bet the next GM isn't someone they interviewed. Freedom. If you went to Vegas, your daughter was going to grow up poor. That's what you said last week, as I remember. Prime, I forgot that you went on that crazy rant. Prime timers.
Here's the thing. They didn't interview any of the other candidates that were supposed to be in the next tier. Remember, it was supposed to be potentially 3 guys from Dallas and somebody from Florida. Both advanced, so they didn't even bother interviewing those people. So everybody who's telling me, whoa, they need to trust the interview process. Well, guess what? As soon as those teams moved on, they said, time to go ahead and hire.
Tell me you're doubling down on your failed take from last week.
I'm right.
You're doubling down on that? You're doubling and tripling down on it now?
Prime time.
TJ, did you almost pass out yesterday when you heard the news? Or do you still think Lou is calling the shots? LOL.
Lou is in some sort of, he's pulling the strings up above.
That was the best, though. That was all a Phil tweet, by the way. All that crap that the morons in the Islander community were just running with was because Phil was feeling a little bit feisty and said, Lou's still part of the organization. He's making it. I'm like, it's a Phil gaslighting the fan base thing. That's what it was. I just like, you don't fire a guy and say, yeah, we still want you to pick our guy. No, that's not why you fire somebody. He's fired. He was shake hand. Freedom Fundamentals goes, I'm so happy with the Darche hire. Young, super intelligent, well-connected, and comes from an organization with recent massive success. Check, check, and check.
Amen. Happy about it.
I hope that he has the cojones to revamp the whole front office, the minor league system, and the scouting staff. That's a big undertaking in one off season. Very big.
I agree with that.
Freedom Fundamentals. Wrong, TJ. VP of Hockey Ops, fully in charge of all the hockey ops.
Yes, he is. More than happy to admit it. Wrong. Goon.
45 years ago today was the most famous goal in Islanders history. TJ, care to replay the goal to end the mystery?
I can. I can put that up. Tonelli. Oh, that's it. Nice from he scores. Which one?
What now? Say it. What do you think it is?
Which goal is that, Grump?
45 what goal do you think it is?
That's the first Stanley Cup goal, right? That we won.
The overtime goal, Saturday afternoon, 5:24 in the afternoon.
So the Tonelli to Nystrom, he scores. The Islanders win the Stanley Cup. That's the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah, nice delivery. Nick Canetta says,
simple as that. I was right. You're
to Nystrom, he scores. The Islanders win the Stanley Cup. You got to say with a little bit of enthusiasm.
I remember, let's pretend like it's late at night and I live in an area where I can't wake my daughter and my wife up who are sleeping, Grump. So I can't be yelling.
Your wife has a sound machine to tune you out, and your daughter wants nothing to do with you. Nick
Yeah.
Canetta says, Darche will bring in guys to work underneath him, unlike Lou. Yes, he is in charge most everything, but some things he'll probably let others handle. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I hope so. I'd be down for that. Jeffrey K.
Will manage all aspects of the team's hockey operations.
Yes, he will.
When I read that to you 3 or 4 times, you still said I was wrong.
He didn't say all. You didn't read all, but it said all in the tweet. Simple as that. Prime timer.
I read fucking moron. Prime timer says, I heard Lou dates Darche's grandmother. Not good.
Oh my God, he involved. Prime time. This is something important here. Lou, I think, is still involved with the team's day to day.
Frank K says, love the Darche move. Darche is in charge of everything. They got this right. Lou may stay as an advisor, but nothing huge. He's gone. He's fucking gone. He's gone. He's not going to darken our doorstep ever again.
Michael T.
And we got to take the best guy with the number 1 pick. Forget about the kid from Hop Hog. Like I said, if he's dropping, it's okay rolling the dice, throwing next year's the Colorado pick, and one of our defensemen would help us with salary cap so we get Mitch Marner. Maybe move one of those guys. I have no problem with that. Reagan Ram says, Lou out, Lotto win, Darche in. Last 4 weeks better than the last 4 years. True, and true.
Absolutely, it is. So excited, so optimistic about the future of this team. Simple as that. Coach Tommy B.
Let's face it, Darche, who I wanted, was their third choice between Holland and Gorton. That's correct. Holland's the guy they wanted. Gorton, Montreal would not give them to interview. And I think Bergevin was also in the mix.
Yes, I agree. He was not their first pick, but he is the guy I wanted. So by proxy, they got the guy I wanted. Didn't like the path how they took to get him, but I'm happy they got him.
Honestly, if it wasn't Darche, I would have rather had Kakalainen, because they know how to draft people in Columbus when he was there. George Pace says, if Lou advises anything, listen and do the opposite. Do George Costanza like he did in Seinfeld. I just do everything with whatever I think. I do the opposite. Works out great. Matthew Carbone says, yes, glad to see Grumpy tonight. Thank you, Matthew. Nick Canetta says, the more and more I've watched Schaefer, he's absolutely the right pick. But my only concern with his game is his shot. It's kind of soft. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. He's a defenseman. He's a playmaker. He's a creator. Something he doesn't have.
Great hands. Yeah.
Prime Timer says, TJ asked for Darche in the beginning. Congrats, TJ. Maybe we'll see more positive Islanders Never Say Die podcast this year.
Absolutely. Again, most positive we're going to have since, again, the back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals runs. For people who've watched the show, we've had this show, what, Grumpy, now for almost 6 or 7 years?
Yeah, a lot of years.
Almost 6 to 7 years now. It was almost 7 years now. When I first started out, we brought in Lou when the team was
Pollyanna.
Absolutely. And there was a lot of reasons to be excited and to be happy about it. But as things again started to erode and all the signs were there and we did nothing, I was not happy. But I'm very happy with the things are right now. These are the type of changes in the path that we need to be on. Now again, Darche could make a whole bunch of wrong decisions and we're like, oh man, bad hire. But again, you don't really know right now. You don't know if he's a good hire. You don't know if he's a bad hire, but I'm optimistic that we're on the right path. He's been associated with a winner. He's been associated with a legitimate franchise and a very competitive franchise who's won Stanley Cups. And I feel comfortable and confident that some of that's rubbed off on him. He's picked up some of the tools of the trade from that point.
I agree.
Reagan Rams, Grumpy.
Off-season going well so far. Getting ready. Getting greedy. I want Schaefer and Hagens. Not overpaying for Hagens, though. I'm not trading the Islanders first round pick next year. It cannot be the Islanders first round pick. Cannot be that. Frank K says, I'm fine with not getting Shanahan, Holland, or Bergeron. Darche is 48 and knows what it takes to assemble and work the cap. That's fair.
Yep,
he has managed the cap. What does it say for Pellegrini? Bye-bye. What does it say for it should say goodbye. I mean, he don't need him. He handled the cap in Tampa. So does he need a cap guy here? Was Steve Pellegrini all that in a bag of chips in the cap department? Didn't seem like it to me. We were always in cap hell.
Yeah.
And Fredo, he's the other, vice president in the organization. Bye. See you later. Skinny Stug says, TJ was wrong. The Islanders hired Darche. Get him, Grumpy.
TJ, you moron. That's okay. I'm wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. Damn, that says here, will Waugh be retained?
Yes, he will.
Yes, I think so. Absolutely.
That
Okay.
might have something to do with the hire as well. Freedom Fund Wrench says, TJ, where are you getting this BS that Bergevin turned the Islanders down? That they wanted co-GM, some Fruit Loopy butt buddy in Canada? No, that was reported. Elliot Friedman reported that.
Yeah, and people close to sources and sources had said that was absolutely true. That's legitimate that they were talking about that. Elliot Friedman should be all you need to know that it's legitimate, but there was absolutely legitimate questions in pondering about maybe having a co-general manager approach to this season, which would have been a really stupid idea. Dale S.
Only one clown saying Lou was staying. Phil's fiction. Yeah.
He's making it all up.
Thank God he's gone. I don't know if maybe
back the there. Yes.
What is Phil to the Islander fan base? What do they say? You start the hero. If you stick around long enough, you turn into the villain. Maybe that's what Phil's going to be. He's going to be the villain for the organization now. Maybe the grumpy old man's going to turn out to be the hero.
You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
There you go. Tommy Babbitt says Phil's fiction is just pissed because Toronto lost and Marner is gone.
Well,
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that at all. See you later. Bye-bye. Oh, shit, I lost where I was. X did a very horrible job of starring comments today, by the way.
Frank K says, taking Schaefer is a no-brainer despite playing only 70 games in this season. He's the most talented of the bunch. He also is the youngest of the bunch. Misa had 134 points in the OHL, but I doubt that translates to the NHL. I doubt he's McDavid, McKinnon, Draisaitl. I agree. I don't think he sucks. But I want
is in the big games and even in the playoffs, he did not perform anywhere near the same level that he did in the regular season.
I'll take the defenseman, particularly in today's NHL, where creating offense from defense is so important. Frank from Empire State says, hit the thumbs up. Please, guys, all hit the thumbs up for us.
That's right. Hit the thumbs up. Thank you in advance there on that. We got a comment here, Grumpy, from Coach Tommy B.
Darche will likely take Schaefer with our number one pick. It's a no-brainer. If he doesn't, I'm out on Darche. I'm just telling you right now.
Yeah, quick, huh?
Absolutely, because if you're blowing that, I'm sorry. You're not qualified to be general manager. He's the consensus number one pick. It'd be like in the McDavid draft, not taking McDavid. That's what it would be like. Well, You know what? Yeah, we had this guy live down the street. Yeah, we know he's rated number 8. But, he likes the Islanders, so we're going to pick him. No. Brian John says, we have a terrible owner. Let's face it, he wanted someone else. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with kicking the tires and finding out who you really want. I don't mind an exhaustive search. And as long as you come to the right decision, that's all that matters. And if they're putting him in charge and he does the right thing, I have no problem with it.
Yep. Nick Canetta.
Hear me out. My dream case scenario draft for the Islanders, first pick, Schaefer. Trade with Utah, the 2026 Avs pick, and one of Romanov Pelech. Trade with Tampa, the 2025 or 27 second-round pick for Howard. Thoughts? Trade. Okay, so I guess you're looking for Hagens with that second pick with Utah. I don't think you even need to trade up that high.
Really not with how much he's dropping. Here's the thing: if Hagens drops to 6 or lower, I would then say, okay, let's try to move a Romanov and a draft pick to get this done.
Yeah, I don't think. And even Pelech. What does it matter? By the time the Islanders are really good again, Pelech's going to be gone. He's injury prone.
Pelech will be retired.
And you're getting what, $5.5 million off your $5.75 million off your cap every year.
Yeah, no problem with it.
I didn't read the rest of it, but you're not going to have to trade more than a second round pick, and it's not going to be next year.
Tampa, a 2025 or 2027 second round pick for.
I'd make it this year's. I'd try this year's.
Freedom Fund Adventure.
Brisebois was a great boss and mentor to Darche. He gave him experience in every facet of the business. He's also very bright and attended 2 of the most prestigious schools in North America. I don't give a shit about that. Does he know hockey? That's all I care about.
Does he know ball? Simple as that.
It's all that matters. I think that's good.
Thomas Antonetti.
Good evening, gentlemen. While I'm excited about the Darche hiring, I'm concerned they gave one man the keys to the organization without any assistance or someone over him. That's a lot for a new GM. Thank you very much, Thomas. That's what I espouse that also. That's my only concern with him at this
Thomas,
point.
I think he's up for the challenge. I think he's up for the challenge, baby.
Oh, he doesn't have control of the organization. Prime Timer says, how long will it take for Fredo to be gone? At what point do we get nervous that he's staying in Bridgeport? Does Lou's relationship with ownership keep Fredo one step? Fuck no.
I think there's no chance. I think there's about a 0.00001% chance that Fredo is employed in any capacity with the Islanders next season.
They gave Fredo a failed AHL GM 8 years. Goodbye. Mathieu Darche is making decisions now. Not Lou Lamoriello. He's gone. See you later. Don't fall into that mindset, please. Gone. Thomas Anthony says, do you feel Darche now here gives us leverage in trading for the Howard kid from Tampa, first round holdout for a few years ago?
Maybe. I think so.
You'll know what it's about. If you don't hear the Islanders going after him in any way, shape, or form, you know it's a problem with the kid. So we don't know what the issue is there yet. JP says, hey, gentlemen, we got our guy. Woohoo! Looking forward to see what Darche will do. So are we all.
Absolutely, we are. Can't be better. Let's continue here. Okay. Grump, Darche will bring in help. I think so too. Garth Snow, Satan's Child says, was general manager and he was the vice president.
Executive vice president. Yeah.
Okay.
He was in charge of everything too.
Peter Alves.
You think Isles will take Schaefer and then go out and get a score in free agency? And more importantly, did TJ ever apologize for his take last week on the Islanders never going back on their initial interviewees for the position? LOL.
I'm wrong, and I've never been happier.
There you go.
I'm not afraid to at all say I'm wrong.
They should take Schaefer. Absolutely. Best player in the class. Freedom from Adventure goes, TJ, I don't know what those faces are. Maybe zip it with a hot head. I don't know.
No, it looks like a lot of explicatives. So just like a curse word, curse word, curse word.
Oh, okay. You didn't even read any credible sources or the Islanders press release. Darche is GM and VP of hockey ops. He is 100% in charge of all hockey operations per the New York Islanders. I read it to you and you didn't believe me.
You say all. Simple as that.
Oh my God, you're ridiculous.
He says Bada knows a ton. I don't know. He was starting to schizo spiral into the Lou thing, just like we all were.
He let Phil provoke him. That was the problem. He let Phil get inside his head.
You get your information from Phil's and Tommy Baffy. Shut the fuck up. Oh, that's
good one.
Here you go. Okay, gotcha. Thanks, there, Justin. Everybody, thank you for the pointing that out and giving me the proof. Grumpy was not reading the all portion, but he absolutely is in charge of all.
I read exactly what the owner said. JP says, "Hey guys, I wouldn't fret about there only being one executive in charge. I believe they can work just as well as there being multiple executives. Call Wilson voice. Both can work. Call Wilson voice. I don't know what that means. Just because you want a fantasy hockey league does not, you should be a little bit clear on that, JP. I don't know what Cole Wilson voice even means. Prime Timer says, TJ, are you nervous that Lou is still leading the organization?
He is pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Absolutely. And I did want to put this up. Just the reason why Isaac Howard has all the hype, 52 points in 37 games and plus 19. When you look at Michigan State, by the way, he had 52 points. The next guy had 31. They only had two guys with 30 plus points. But again, like his production, much higher than anybody else on the team. And that's where I think, again, was that?
He was good. He was good this year, no doubt about it.
Outstanding. You win the best college hockey player. There's usually a reason there for it. If he's a second round pick, I'm jumping all over that.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Mm-hmm. Rebuilding team, bring in young talent. J. Robert Barra says, no more Devils, no more Bruins personnel.
Absolutely.
See enough of that. More than enough of
that. If Darche is taking over every aspect, it's a little worrisome, as TJ said, about his lack of experience. Thank you. TJ equals traumatized by Lou.
No.
No.
Traumatized by Lou.
He's gone. He's gone now. Simple. Yeah, and again, yep. Executive vice president is basically president of hockey operations. Okay,
There you go.
TJ, you're always wrong, man. LOL. Okay, I got it. I got
I'm 1,000. He's wrong every time.
I get it. I get it. I'm wrong. I'm glad everybody pointed out. Thank you. Okay.
I bet you X was putting all those comments up. He likes to prove you wrong.
No, he didn't necessarily any of that. I just did. TJ, wrong, buddy. I appreciate it. Yes, I was wrong. Barry Richmond.
I'm not sure why it's not clear. He's in charge of hockey ops. Truth be told, Bada forgot more than you will ever know about the Islanders. Bada was the first to mention Darche. I doubt you will acknowledge this post. No, not true, Barry.
And Barry, we talked about. I know you must
and
not.
Barry's been gone for a while. We haven't heard from Barry in a while.
Yeah, well, we talked about it on the show. As soon as Lou was fired, we said that this is the guy that we wanted. So, again, you can go back and watch the old podcast. I'm happy with
Darche. I was fine with Darche. I was fine with Bergevin. I was fine with Kakalainen. I even warmed up to Shanahan at the end. I didn't think he was even an option, but I'm like, I just look at what guys have done in their current roles. That's what, and like I said, for me, that's my only concern with Darche is it's a massive undertaking, not just GM, the whole organization. And hopefully that's what he does this year. He gets everything set in place so we're ready to go, move forward. Michael D says, never say die, Islanders Fight Club podcast.
There it is. Satan's Child.
TJ Blutowski, the odds are 0.0.
Goon Goon.
Mr. Blutowski, 0.0. Daniel Day-Lewis has no grade point average. All courses incomplete. Goon Goon says, Grumpy, I like your bowling style shirt today. Reminds me a bit of the regular guy look that Monty Capoletti made famous in what 1983 movie, TJ? Do you have any idea? Monty Capoletti, 1983 comedy movie with a
Kingpin.
Who?
Kingpin.
No. It had nothing to do with bowling. Okay, first of all.
Gotta give me another hint.
1983. I'll give you a hint. You're not going to get it. Rodney Dangerfield was in it.
That's all I know is
Rodney Dangerfield's first starring role.
Back to School.
Incorrect. Easy Money. It was
Easy Money. That was my next guess.
Easy Money. That was a great
Reagan Rams.
Monty Capoletti, the regular guy look. Reagan Ram says, Grumpy, why didn't you and the warden teach TJ reading comprehension? He never seems to understand what the sentence means. You know what? Sometimes it just doesn't take. And remember, he's half Polish. So he's kind of built in dumb.
There it is.
J. Robert Barra says, Tampa's been a force for 10 years. Longer than that. Give Darche a chance. Oh, I don't think anyone's saying don't give Darche a chance. I disagree with that vehemently.
Peter Alves.
Why are you guys arguing about it for 30 minutes? Who the F cares if they do or they don't? Darche is in place, and that choice was the right choice for the Islanders. And Lou is gone, or at least he has moved behind the curtains. So let's focus on Darche, the first pick, a potential trade or two, and who they should target in free agency via an offer sheet once they re-sign Dobson. I don't think you're going to see any offer sheets.
No, I don't see that either, buddy. Sorry.
I'm going after the big fish. If I don't get them, I just kick the can down the road for a year and I focus on other things. Next year's, and it's early, next year's free agent class is loaded. So maybe that's something to look at. I mean, just loaded. But a lot of those guys are going to sign back in the interim. Drew says, I did hear from the press release that ownership wants to stay competitive. Not sure what that means. Seems very vague. Yeah, I worry about that too. I do worry about that.
Good.
Said, under Darche, which old farts will be the first to go? On Twitter, does Phil's facts go with the flow? No, he's a contrarian. He just let me tell you something about Phil. He's a great guy. I like him a lot, but he's lonely up there. There's a lot of estrogen in that house. And I think Phil lives for jostling with people. I do. I think that. But he's a great guy.
It's like a pig. They love it. It's like when you're wrestling with a
pig.
Stir in
the pot. Likes to stir the pot.
They love the mud, but they love to fucking wrestle around down there. That's simple. Gungun says here, under Darche. Oh, I'm sorry. You already read that.
And who'll go? Who do you think could be? I think he'll have to move a defenseman in the offseason. But I think he's going to keep everybody else. And then I think he's going to start moving guys at the deadline. I
I
think
think
he's
he's
going
got
to.
to figure out who's part of the future and who's not.
Okay, it's not Anders Lee. It's not JG Pajot. Those guys are gone.
I agree.
If you can, I mean, would you keep Engvall around? I'd probably keep him around for shits and giggles. I'd probably try to move Mayfield, though. Got to get some money off the cap. Get those long contracts off your books. Freedom Fund Venture says there are no concerns about Darche. His success is way more recent than Hollins, Lou, Bergevin, etc. Darche won't be perfect, but he will build a great operation, and we can get back to winning. That's the hope.
Agreed.
Anyway.
Huck Meta.
Huck Meta, another longtime listener, finally commenting back in. Okay, let's talk draft decisions. Do we sacrifice this year's pick in a draft and the trade to hedge the bets for the lotto hit of McKenna? If we get that pick, I could see a blockbuster sale. So a GM is just a piece get there. That's a little different, but
Huck, I'm not trying to roll the dice. We already won the lotto here. I'm not trying to roll the dice. Hope we win it one more time.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of luck.
Here's what you do: you draft Schaefer. I mean, like I said, I'm in for bringing in Marner. If you don't want to, you don't want to. I'm not into adding a lot of pieces to say, hey, let's make a push for the playoffs. And I'm moving guys to pick up more draft capital next year. It's not just McKenna. McKenna's great. You'd love to have him on the team, but that's a loaded draft. If you can get yourself 3-4 first-round picks, and then you can move up and down the board, pick whoever you want, get 3 studs, then you've made an accomplishment in your second draft year. No problem with that at all. People don't realize, well, people listen to the show realize we have nothing in the pipeline. Nothing. So you need to load up with your draft.
I think we're on the track where we can correct the pipeline real quick.
Yep. Frank says, Wah isn't going anywhere. The owner wants him because he's a good coach. Watch when he gets these horses. I just don't think they'll make a whole lot of moves.
I think, again, I just think the optimism is here. More I put that up is because a lot of people are very optimistic, and rightfully so, about the team and their future here. It's crazy how quick things can change when we're on the right path.
Lamoriello ran the organization into the ground, just like he did with the Devils. He tried to do it in Toronto, but Shanahan said, none of that, little fella. We're going to pat him on top of his little head, put him up in the executives. Just sit up there in that office, that little closet over there. You can write out your contract. Freedom Fund Venture goes. Successful year one, gaining assets by parting with the losers and bad contracts by the trade deadline, finishing in the draft lottery, building a front office, and the Islanders and Bridgeport, fixing coaching staffs. And not even coaching staff, scouting staff.
That too.
Your player personnel division. You might see maybe guys like Ken Morrow have seen their time come and go. I don't know. I hate to see him go because I have a like for him. But, I mean, it's his decision now. It's his organization now.
Robert Barra says here, I wanted Hedman and not Tavares. Tavares was the no-brainer at that point. That's what I'm like. Michael T's. And here's the thing. Tavares and Hedman are both probably making a Hall of Fame. Could Tavares ever come back to Long Island?
Let's say the Islanders give him a 3-year deal at $5 million per.
Oh, yeah, come back.
Okay.
I will say the Islander fans are still so ass-hurt about that. Now, again, I'm done with it.
If he signed back, they'd love him again.
But again, people love and they celebrate like, they're just like, they're so enraged still. And they hate him so much. They'll hate him until the day he retires. And they're like, oh, man, he did take that cheap discount there originally to stay with us on that bridge deal when our team was just going in nowhere for a while. But it's just like people are celebrating. They love when Toronto loses because they hate John Tavares so much. I'm like, I thought he did us wrong by lying to us when we could have got draft capital and traded him at the deadline. But a portion of that blame does, lie on the general manager as well. Not all of it, but a portion definitely does.
The only team that I hate in the NHL are the Flyers. The only team is the Flyers. I don't hate any other teams. I can enjoy, hey, that guy's got talent. This guy's got that. You know what? But I don't hate any other teams. Tommy Babbitt says, fire Fredo, hire Boychuk to run Bridgeport, draft Schaefer number 1 overall, trade the 2025 second for Isaac Howard, clean out the scouting staff, and expand it with new, more innovative scouts. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what we talked about already.
Absolutely. Amen to that. Also, Palmieri put up similar stats, or I'm sorry, Holmstrom put up similar stats to Palmieri on the third line too. Well, Holmstrom was playing on the first line some, the second, he was playing all over the place. They're both were pretty much playing top six roles this year.
I'm not bringing Palmieri back. That's just not happening. But I'm absolutely signing Holmstrom back. He showed that he developed under Patrick Waugh. He did not develop in Bridgeport. Patrick Waugh benched him for a while. He got on his ass, and he turned him into a player who was not afraid to go into corners and stick his nose in the dirty areas. That was my biggest problem with him. He was a perimeter Pete who was afraid of getting involved. A Swede, typical Swedish player. You saw growth from Engvall in that regard also because of Patrick Waugh. If those guys play to their capabilities and can shed that Swedish player label that I just threw on them willy-nilly, they're guys who can contribute on this team. You still have to suit guys up every night.
Good.
In a few years, could the Islanders welcome John Cooper? Was the Ephus pitch considered a blooper? TJ, do you know what the Ephus pitch was?
It's essentially like when guys go up there and they're like non-position players. They do that now too, where it's like they throw it 40 miles an hour, just but drops right into the zone.
Well, the Ephus pitch, it's just like it was like a folly floater. Loop it in and just try to drop it in. That's the Ephus pitch.
I know. That's what you said. Me.
Do you think Nylander is going to be the Islanders? Nope. They're not letting Nylander go. Nylander, you could say, was arguably their best offensive player, best player this year for Toronto. He was really good. They could have had him, could have rolled the dice and said, you know what, let's offer him a big offer sheet. They won't do it. Roll the dice, people.
Gushite Revenge.
Gushite Revenge says, why would the Islanders want Tavares back? The sun is setting on his career. If you're in a rebuild,
if he's super cheap like that for 3 years, $5 million, I would take that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Just makes no
automatically
sense.
He's your second line center.
Yep, there you go. And he's a guy who will play maybe third line his last year, and he'll be retiring as an Islander. Be fine with that.
Yeah. Tommy Baffy says, see if Waugh can bring in Chris Chelios to run the defense and the penalty kill. If Chelios wants to coach, I don't know if he does. You would think if he wanted to, he'd have a job somewhere by now. He's doing, I know he does television. I think he's doing television tonight. He was doing TV.
People were not very happy, by the way, with you saying we need to have Mitch Marner come. People were big on hard passes on Mitch Marner, as am I. Meatball Parm, Grumpy.
Grumpy is looking dapper in his bowling shirt. Looks like a real Munson. A real Munson. Now that's from Kingpin. Great movie. Underrated movie by the Farley brothers. Frank from Empire State says, TJ, once again, your cheese brain doesn't get it. Romanov is staying here. Bridge deal, easy peasy. I would not count my chickens on that one.
Marner's going to be a Ranger.
Like I said, I'm astonished that people, Grumpy, the Islanders don't need Mitch Marner. Really? We're in the bottom third of the league in scoring every year, but we don't need a proven scorer. Okay. I cannot for the life of me even understand that. Jay Lass says Marner disappears come playoff time. Well, we just already proved that wrong. Hard pass. Okay. It was proven wrong. No. He absolutely scored in the playoffs this year. Point a game guy. Whatever. If you're asking me if I'm running the team, I'm not turning down high-end talent. I'm just not. I want to win. High-end talent means more wins. Drew says, Grumpy, would you say TJ's management of the podcast today has been the equivalent of a polished turd? Is Niagara Falls in TJ's bladder about to burst? That's the first time. I don't even know. Did you go to the bathroom or did something else happen?
I had to go to the restroom, yes.
All right. He had to take a dump, too, because he was gone so long. It was absolutely more than just a piss. You were gone quite a while.
I had to go run and do a few other things, too. But, yes, I had to pee and had to go run and do a few other things. So
hey, Grumpy old man, just run with the show. Just go ahead.
Again, if you stepped away for 5 minutes, I think I could do.
No, you wouldn't. You'd be lost. I'd come back and the show would be over. Show's over.
You think so?
Drew Sattler says, Grump is right again. Suck it, TJ.
Oh, there it is. Fair enough. Okay, let's pull this here.
I'm surprised that people don't even want to consider Mitch Marner. Drew says, hit the like and subscribe to further support the podcast. Absolutely. Please do.
Hit the like and subscribe. Absolutely. Okay, I'm trying to see what
Like
else.
man's pants. You got to stick your hands in there and move them around. Frank from Empire State says, we won 4 cups out of 5 in a freaking row. I saw it as a little kid. We are one of the greatest teams in all sports history. And yes, I'm the teacher. LOL. I agree. That's the last. I can't say dynasties have changed. Now, if you win 3 in a row, it's a dynasty, or you win, 3 out of 4, you're a dynasty. That's fine. Alon Avital says,
Allen.
I'm sorry.
Allen
15 straight Eastern Conference final losses for Carolina. Yeah, it hurts when you run up against teams that are better than you. Frank says, Are you kidding me, Grumpy? Ratton is worth 10 Marners.
That's right. I think maybe 20.
Okay, we'll see.
Al Grumpy.
Sam Bennett next year. No. While Sam Bennett is a guy that I love, at this stage of the Islanders' development, you don't need Sam Bennett. His game is not going to age well. He's a physical, grinding player. Those guys don't last into their mid-30s. They don't. Frank says Brindamore is overrated.
Lack of professionalism by Grumpy, per the usual. Looky there. Drew says here, TJ is the king of schizo hypotheticals. I like to call it schizo spiraling. But yes, I am the king of schizo spiraling. It keeps things interesting, I feel like sometimes. Coach Tommy B says here, Marner is soft. Sign Sam Bennett all day, any day over him. He brings leadership, toughness, physicality, and he's a solid two-way player with a winning attitude. You're muted.
Not where the franchise is right now. I'm not going after Sam Bennett. Now, could you see Toronto taking a run at Sam Bennett? I could.
He has no interest in going to that loser. Nobody wants to catch Torontoitis.
Okay, whatever. Torontoitis. I mean, I just think you're underestimating how good they are. Whether an aviation says Marner, a hard no. He's a meh. Okay, I disagree. I'm going to disagree with everyone who says that. Sorry.
I think everybody who's agreeing with me is right. That's right.
That's fine.
Drew L.
Who's always right, though, and who's always wrong? That's all.
And you.
Drew says, I take Mitch Marner second here. What the fuck? I don't know if that's a positive or a negative.
I take Mitch Marner a second here. WTF.
I'm stunned. Islander fans are happy with us scoring 200 goals a year. This guy puts up points. He's a transition. He's a guy that you can come in and then fill in with younger guys. That's all. I'm absolutely willing to do that. Sam Bennett, no. He'd be wasted on this team. Wasted.
God. It depends. It depends on how we're going to structure it going forward here. Thomas Bach.
I agree with Grumpy. You need someone to fill seats. Marner on this team would be a gift. Absolutely. I'm astounded that people wouldn't want Mitch Marner on this team. What? We have no high-end talent on this team. It's not like he's Anthony freaking Duclair. Michael T says, Pierre LeBrun, just to close the loop on the Islanders and Brenda Shanahan, they did talk this week, but it wasn't a fit at this point. I believe it was a good conversation, but there's probably more to that comment.
Yeah.
Gungun says, the Canes goalie is a piece of junk, TJ. How do you rate the Bucky's Food Mart?
No, he says the Canes goalie is a fart. TJ, how do you rate Bucky's Food Mart? It's different.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. A little pun. I did forget.
Different inflection on it, too. Depends on, yeah. Anyway, I love Bucky's. Simple as that. X likes Bucky's, too.
It's a gas station.
Grumpy likes Bucky's.
With really nice bathrooms, really clean. Absolutely. The best thing about there is the bathrooms. They're spotless.
Rich Arnold.
Barzal would have as many points if he was a Leaf. Marner will put up about 10 more points on this team than Barzal does. I don't know. I'm a fan of high-end talent. Always have been. That's me. Call me crazy. What can I tell you? I think if he came to the Islanders, people would be happy. You would, oh my God, riding the streets, we got a guy who scores 100 points a year. What the hell's going on? We don't want anybody like that.
Wristed Wicker said here again, Wrister Wicked says here, talking about wanting Marner. Little. If the style and an ineffective in the playoffs. Talking
Okay,
about
but it's been proven he's not ineffective in the playoffs.
he's ineffective in the playoffs.
Okay,
That's correct.
a point a game guy is not ineffective in the playoffs.
Ineffective.
And
I
somebody
agree.
saying Martin will be a Ranger. Who knows? I don't know. We'll find out.
It is going to be good shot revenge.
NHL needs a mercy rule for the Canes Panther series. Yeah, Kocheko was brutal in the third period at 5 goals. I'm sorry. In like 6 minutes, 5 goals. Terrible.
Yikes.
Can't do it.
Weather and aviation.
Bucky's is the bomb. Been to one in Daytona Beach.
A lot of Bucky's love out there.
They're
Just won't
putting
let you-
one. They're putting a Bucky's in around me pretty soon.
Lucky you,
I'm
Grumpy.
never going there.
You're lucky.
Program this says Noah is worth 5.
He's worth a lot more than $5 million.
No, he's getting paid way more than that.
Yeah, we get 50 cal.
What's going on, guys? I love the fact that Darche is young and his first gig as a GM. Just worried about him not being open to rebuilding because of where he comes from in his opening comments. True. Those are concerns. Fair to say. Program this says Noah is not worth 10 at all. You see what other guys are getting and the cap going up.
Great.
You're going to have to adjust your thinking on that, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Allen was not happy. Marner is not going to be in the Islanders. What is this ridiculous talk?
No, that's a whole nother question. If you ask me what I would like to do in the offseason, that's how the whole thing started. I would absolutely do something like that. I want to change the perception of the New York Islanders as a stodgy, old, dull, boring, slow, brutally terrible team. I want to change all that. You can do it with one stroke. Frank from Empire State says, program, just ignore idiotic millennial TJ. TJ's kicking some slings and arrows today.
It happens. Thomas A.
Don't you both feel we can retool instead of rebuild now? That was include going after someone like Mon or Ehlers, all about crafting and remaking the team and the AHL team to Darche's design. I think it's when you have to rebuild the whole organization, that's a rebuild. When you have to change the minor league system and the scouting staff and pro personnel directors and all these things, that's a rebuild. That's not a retool. You're rebuilding the whole organization. It's not like, oh, well, hey, we're close. We can just add a couple of players. No. The whole organization needs an enema. And hopefully that's what Darche is just going to flush out all the crap and we're going to start all over. Brand new, clean as a whistle. Check for polyps and move along. Scrape out the polyps and move along.
The wicket 50 cal.
Martin, in my opinion, will be a Duck, or with Utah, we have at best a 5% chance of getting him, which ironically is higher odds than to win the lottery. Yeah, I'm not saying we're going to get him. Matter of fact, if you were asking me if we were going to get him, I'd say no. I don't think this guy's afraid to take a big swing, though. Just listen to him talk. Sounds like he's not afraid to take a big swing. He's not going to be going after Pierre Engvalls or J.G. Pageau's or Kyle Palmieri's or other ham and eggers. Big fish. Go after the big. Let's go after the big fish, right? We don't need some minnows. We got plenty of minnows.
Wristed wicker or wristed wick or wrister.
Wrister wicked.
God almighty, it's such a tongue twister for me.
Mitch Marner will help you make the playoffs, but he won't help you win a cup. He's not a playoff difference maker. Okay. I just think he's a damn good player, and we don't have anywhere near enough of those guys. And he's not the number one option on Toronto. That's Austin Matthews.
Rick Roma.
Carolina is an embarrassment. I disagree. Florida's just damn good. Stop. That's one thing that drives me crazy. Stop minimizing how good other teams are. Florida's real. They're a juggernaut right now. They're really good. I thought the way they closed out the regular season, like, man, they look like, I thought Tampa was going to beat them. Absolutely did. They destroyed Tampa. And I mean, they came back and beat the shit out of Toronto too. They lost those first 2 games and they were down by 2 goals in the third. And they said, holy shit, we get knocked out of the playoffs. And after that, it was over. That series was over. They're better than, they're big, they're physical. Marchand has been great for them. Talk about a playoff performer. Brad Marchand is one of those guys. You think Toronto goes after him in the offseason? I would.
What do you think the cost of him would be?
He's 36 years old. He's $5 million a year. He wanted $6 million a year to stay in Boston. They said no.
Yeah.
If you're losing Mitch Marner, you got to replace him with somebody. He's a proven playoff guy, and he's a pain in the ass to play against. That's a playoff guy. I don't think they have enough playoff guys on the team. Craig Berube did a great job with that team this year. Great job. Good coach. Good coach.
Carolina would beat us 4-1.
4-0.
Says Carolina is embarrassing. You said 4-0. Okay. Drew Grumpy.
Honestly, is it that far-fetched to say this Florida team is more dominant than Tampa's cup-winning teams? I will say that.
I think that's crazy. I think Tampa's cup-winning teams, best teams we've seen in years.
Okay. I will say that Tampa had the better high-end talent and the better goalie, but Florida is the best team.
Tampa would have killed them.
I disagree.
The year that Florida won the President's Trophy, they skull fucked them. Simple. They killed them. They killed them.
They didn't kill them. They beat them. Then they got Kachuk. Then they traded for Reinhardt. Then they got Bennett. That's what I'm saying. This team is wildly different from that team 3 years ago. Really different. They've gotten guys who are playing. This team's a juggernaut. They're going to. I don't see them losing the Stanley Cup. They're
losing the Stanley Cup for again. People think I'm joking about that. They're losing in the Stanley Cup Finals to whoever comes out of the West. That's simple.
No.
West is a tougher conference too. Those teams are battle tested.
Florida's best team in the league. And here's the thing: they beat everybody on the road. They manhandle teams on the road, destroy them on the road. Their game travels. Their game travels. They're good. They're good, and they got the best goalie left in the playoffs.
I do agree with that. Ottinger is a hit and miss guy. He sometimes shows up, sometimes he doesn't. But
Skinner blows cock.
I don't disagree with that. He's unbelievably inconsistent. When you look at that Tampa team in the prime, I don't think Vasilevsky's probably the same goalie he used to be.
He's not.
Vasilevsky was prime Vasilevsky at that point. Hedman was prime Victor Hedman. Stamkos was still fantastic. Prime Kucherov. Prime Braden Point. I'm sorry. No shot in hell that Florida team comes close to competing against that Tampa team. That Florida team has 5 guys, first ballot Hall of Fame type guys.
Tampa.
I'm sorry. That Tampa team has 5 guys who are going to be Hall of Fame players. That Florida team
I said they had the higher top end talent, but up and down the lineup, it's Florida. Gail R said, "Wow, a young lady commenting on the show, which is so unusual. Being income tax free seems to attract a lot of hockey talent, and also the weather's beautiful. Who the hell would want to live up in Boston or any of those miserable northern weather towns? No, with ridiculous taxes. And yeah, I'm talking about New York as well. Would you rather live in nice sunny Florida all year round? I know I would. I don't even live there. I'm a happy medium guy."
Oh, God.
We don't get any snow down here. It's been forever since we've had snow. I think we had a little bit of snow.
Arnold.
This team will 100% make the playoffs next year unless they sell everything over the summer. I think there's a shot they make the playoffs if they get Mitch Marner. They can advance maybe to the semifinals.
I just don't think it's
beat by Florida.
Frank.
I agree with TJ. Shockingly, LOL. I want a Kachuk.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. I'd want him too, but you know what? They're not available. You can only get what's available to you.
Oh, man. Let's see here. Perk on this says, TJ, you're such a troll, man. People legitimately think I'm joking around about Florida not winning the Stanley Cup playoffs, Stanley Cup finals. They're not. Simple as that. Florida's not winning the Stanley Cup finals.
You're ridiculous.
Whoever comes out of the West is winning.
It's okay. You'll be wrong on this too, just like everything else.
Alan A.
Could TJ retire if Florida loses the cup? Grumpy, you could find a smarter co-host. Well, that's for certain.
How about this? If Florida wins the Stanley Cup, I'll retire. How about that? Freedom, fun, and adventure.
Oh, God, TJ and his ridiculous predictions.
JP.
Mitch Marner's incredible talent. However, his performances in big games have been horrifying. Well,
that's right, JP.
Okay.
Agreed.
So you could say that about the whole team, right? They got beat the last 2 home games. Toronto got beat 12-2. Was Mitch Marner the only guy who didn't produce? Maybe, just maybe, let's give credit to the other team sometimes. That's all. I mean, it's okay to say another team is just better than you. Toronto has a lot of talent, but they still don't have a bunch of playoff, like gritty, attack playoff guys. They don't have those guys. Marner's not. Matthews isn't. Nylander isn't. Those are not playoff guys. John Tavares is, though. Absolutely is. Ryan Hendrickson says, fair question. He can get them over the hump. He gets out-coached. He can't get them over the hump. He gets out-coached. How about Sorokin to Carolina for 4 first-round picks? They're not trading for Sorokin. JP says, I'm not sure Grumpy is overvaluing Mitch Marner, yet he does come up empty when the lights are the brightest. I don't know. He's still young.
Rick Roma.
It's embarrassing to get swept in the East Conference Final, but the Canes aren't even competitive in these games. This is crazy. Yeah, Florida just freaking better.
They haven't been competitive in any of the games in the Eastern Conference Finals the last 4 years.
Florida's not a good matchup for them. They're not.
Carolina's not a good team in the playoffs. And when they start playing the top dogs, they lose. They get killed every year.
Teams that are big and physical give them problems. So did Boston. Boston gave them problems, big and physical. Big and physical teams give them problems.
Ryan H.
Cal Ritchie acquisition 2 was huge for us. Yeah, I think he's going to be a third-line center this year.
You go, Galar.
I agree that Florida reminds me of the Dynasty Islanders. Yeah, absolutely. It's okay to say that. They're really freaking good. They can play any style. That's what makes them so good. If Freedom Fund Red says, if Mitch Marner wants to sign with the Islanders, I question how bad he wants to win. Islanders, you mean like Bo Horvat? Islanders aren't winning the cup in the next 3 years. Wouldn't he want to go to a contender or the Isles where he won't be on a winning team soon? You can turn this team around in 3 years if you do the right moves. You got to be proactive. You can't just say, I believe in this team. You don't want to hear that nonsense.
There it is. Bruce Harper.
The only better news would be if Lou paid back the back salary stole for the last 7-8 years. That's fair. That's fair. He's not giving that money back, though.
There it is. Drew Grumpy.
TJ, you seem awfully mellow for the most ideal GM candidate being hired for this organization.
I'm happy.
He's the guy you wanted, TJ. That's the guy you wanted.
I'm happy.
Maybe
honestly, it's like pinch me. This doesn't feel real. That's how happy I am right now. We win the draft lottery. First, we get rid of Lou. Then, like the next week, we win the draft lottery.
We lose the All-Star game.
3 weeks after that, lose the All-Star game. Like 2 to 3 weeks after that, you go ahead and hire the GM who's been in a very successful franchise for years and is part of a winning culture and knows how to instill that ideally for the Islanders. I can't be happier with the potential for this pickup. Again, we'll start seeing once pen hits paper and once he starts making decisions and moves with complete autonomy and control what we think about him. But I can't be happier right now than the way things are currently. That's it.
Fair.
I'm happy. Okay. I'm mellow. I'm happy. It's great. This is the most optimistic I've been under since the back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals run. So the happiest I've been with the direction of this team in about 4 to 5 years. Vinny G.
If Marty Schottenheimer
Schottenheimer
the coach of the Canes? Yeah, Marty Schottenheimer, great coach. But who was beating those Marty Schottenheimer teams? Do you remember? It was the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. Everybody lost to Brady and the Patriots. Everybody did. A couple of years. I mean, it's the great teams sometimes dull other franchises. Herb Brooks coaching the Rangers in the 80s. In the mid 80s. They were really good. They were probably the second best team in the NHL. You know what? You want to know who the best team was? The Islanders. They couldn't get past the Islanders because the Islanders were just better than they were. But the Rangers were still a really good team back then. If the Islanders weren't there, maybe the Rangers win a cup or two. It happens. It happens. Ponyboy says, Grump, is it a fair assessment that if you were the GM of the Islanders, you would have kept useless Bellows and heartless Wahlstrom over all-star third liner Holmstrom? Would you have been wrong? Okay, I never said we should have dumped Holmstrom. I just said that he hadn't shown anything yet, and he was a piece of shit. Now, here's the thing. Under a good coach in Patrick Waugh, he's absolutely changed the way he plays the game. Absolutely had. And I thought we should have given Bellows an opportunity and run in that first year that we didn't make the playoffs. Why? Not because I thought Keeper Bellows was the greatest thing ever. I wanted to know if he was part of the solution or part of the problem. If you would have played him for, the last 40 games of the season and you would have saw that, guess what? He's not that good. then you would have moved on from him. You wouldn't have kept him, string him along for another 2 years. Same thing with Wahlstrom. If guys are not capable of doing after an extended run, you get rid of them. There you go.
Mhm.
And I was wrong on Holmstrom. Absolutely changed my mind this year. Absolutely.
He stepped up. He played well. I think is a very solid middle six contributor.
He's done things that he's never done before, and namely go into the dirty areas, go into the corners to augment the rest of his game, which he had skill, but he just didn't have heart. Now he does. Good. Congratulations, Casper Holmstrom. You did it, my man. Good for you. All for you. And here's the thing: he doesn't make any money. That's why you don't dump guys who don't make any money.
Rick Rock.
Rick Rock says Darsh Vader will get us Isaac and Schaefer and lead us out from the dark side, ironically. On the dark side.
I do see a lot of the Darsh Vader. I hope that pans out well. It's
I like it. I kind of like it. If he does some shrewd moves, that's what they're going to call him, Darsh Vader.
There it is. I have no idea how to pronounce this. P Rising. Puriel, I don't know what that is. I couldn't pronounce that.
Ariel Rising says, Grumpy, Dobson gets an offer sheet. What does Darsh do? What do you do? He's not getting an offer sheet. Nobody gets offer sheet. He's not going to get an offer sheet. They're going to have a conversation with him. Do you want to be? I think he wants to be there long term. If you can get him for $8.5 million, kudos. Frank from Empire State says, hit the thumbs up, gents. Yeah, double thumbs up.
There it is. Thumbs up, ladies and gentlemen. You go. Point about Curtis.
Boys, please submit your desired starting lineup for the 25-26 season. What are your 4 lines, D pairs, scratches, goalie situation, and what moves before opening night do you want to be made? Well, I'll tell you what, we can do that for next week.
I'm going to do that next week. Absolutely. We'll go through what we think. I don't think there's going to be as many changes probably as what people think would have Curtis, but I think there are going to be I think there has to just, from an administrative standpoint, there's going to be some changes because you can't have like 8 defensemen on the roster. So yes.
This is when I still wish we had cap friendly because you can build those rosters with the money.
Yep. Here you go, Grumpy. Freedom Fund Adventure.
Grumpy, could you please ask Doc Page where she got the noise machine so she doesn't have to listen to TJ? I'd like to invest in one of those on Saturdays and Sundays. She does have one of those noise machines, doesn't she, TJ?
She does. It just keeps a little, just like a white noise machine. Ponybear Curtis.
White noise machine. I'm hearing serious reports of Marner coming to the Islanders, boys. Would you rather have Lou as senior advisor, prior of hockey ops, or Marner on an 8-year, $15 million deal? I think
Lou's gone, but we can't sign Marner to an 8-year deal just because he's a free agent. The max we can do is 7, and at 14.9, would you? Let me ask you this, Grumpy: if the price was 14.9 for 7 years, would you say yes to Mitch Marner or no? You were willing to do it 14. How about 14.9? Does the 0.9 kill the deal for you? That's why I brought that up.
I don't think he's getting that much money.
No, we're going to do another hypothetical. People in the comments are like, man, you're talking so many hypotheticals. Because I'm happy. Shit.
Go for it. What the hell? It ain't my money.
Anything can happen now again. We're back in a spot where anything can happen.
That's right. Think about how Lou Lamoriello drained the life's blood out of the New York Islander fan base. He drained it. He killed
us too. We're right back. Just like that. They got rid of him. We're right back at it.
That's right. Everything is possible again. Nothing was possible when he was there. Nothing.
Yeah.
So $15 million for him.
14.9, not 15.
7 years. Go for it. 20, no.
Drew.
Okay. If he gets $15 million a year, how much does McDavid get next year? He's a free agent. How much does he get next year?
No idea.
18? Would you, if he said, I want $18 million a year from Edmonton, what are you going to say? No?
I think they probably have to say yes.
The cap is going up. Here's why I'd say yes to that. Here's why I'm saying yes to Marner. $15 million in today's dollars is maybe going to be $12 million in 3 years or 11 million in 3 years.
Remember, you've also got another team that you're adding into the mix, which creates more revenue to increase the cap space for these teams. So,
Yeah. So your cap's going to go up.
the sport continues to grow. So, like, 15 million sounds like a lot. I'm not paying 15 million for a guy who doesn't perform in the playoffs. Drew,
Okay, but he does perform in the playoffs.
he doesn't.
He absolutely does. You just read the numbers. A point a game guy in the playoffs. Okay. By the way, TJ, while you've been gone, there have been about 5 or 6 legendary rants from Frank the Tank that I sent you.
Oh, buddy, Frank the Tank. Who doesn't love Frank the Tank? Anthony Rizzi.
Exactly, TJ. Not paying 14 million for Marner. Okay, you're gonna have to pay somebody. Robert Marshall says, any reason we're trading a 25-year-old defenseman? No, we're not trading him. He's not getting traded unless he says, "I don't want to be here anymore." Then you absolutely move him. But if he wants to be here, you sign him. He and Schaefer will be your number one pairing for a decade. Period.
I'm trying to see. Oh, my God.
Program this says, what if Darche picks Misa? He's not picking Misa. The only guy I'm afraid that he's going to pick is if ownership says they want the Higgins character. Then guess what? He's not in charge of anything. He knows who the best player in the draft is. It's not James Higgins. Program this says TJ never says anything right podcast. Oh, that's a good one.
God almighty. Dude, somebody went and tried to just fucking torch Chris Bott online. Jesus Christ. It's way too long to read. But my God, it's forever and ever and ever. Chris Bott is getting some hate from the Islander fans on Twitter. God almighty.
My little brownie, our friend. And by the way, I'm starting to watch that F1 series again. Back into it. And me and the warden, she had a little friend over from her yesteryear days, and she said how much she liked those shows. I can't get the warden to get into any of these sports shows. And I'm like, hey, she liked them. He's like, oh, I'm going to give him a shot then. I've been trying to get her to watch them for years. Her little friend shows up into town, and all of a sudden, we're going to be watching all these sports docs. Another sports doc that I highly recommend. I've just seen some of the first episode, and I'm not a NASCAR guy. They have an Earnhardt documentary or whatever, however many episodes, 4 episodes on Amazon Prime. Freaking phenomenal so far. Real, and like I said, I'm not a NASCAR guy, but man, that's a good doc. Milo Brownie says, Grump, since the playoffs next season isn't the goal, what would you like to see our new GM do during the season that says the Islanders are on the right track? Well, I think what you're saying, if you acquire a Mitch Marner, okay, that shows, okay, we're still thinking about the present, but the future. He's a guy who's going to age well. And then you start moving your expiring assets at the deadline. I think that's imperative. And if you can move yourself another defenseman or two, it's all about freeing up cap space. Next year, like I said, monster free agent class. As of right now, we don't know who's signing back. Everyone can re-sign as of July, but once you're within a year. So we don't know who's going to be in the class. But that's the year you really go for it if you don't go for Marner. And you acquire draft capital for next year. I'm just a firm believer in that. Ponyboy Curtis says, does Carolina get swept? Absolutely. The biggest paper tigers in the league? Not true. Not true. Not
Who's
true.
bigger?
Not true.
Who's bigger?
Winnipeg? How about Winnipeg?
Winnipeg's
they usually can't even get out of the first round. They made it into the second round and got beat. So Winnipeg. I'm going to say Winnipeg.
They're a pretty big paper tiger.
Ponyboy Curtis says, hey, Grump. And here's the thing. They're a big physical team. They just got out-physicaled by Dallas, who was missing guys.
Dallas is good. Dallas is damn good.
They're just not Florida. Ponyboy Curtis
is better than Florida.
Hey, Grumpy, being an avid listener of the Islanders Never Say Die podcast for 6+ years has greatly improved my vocabulary. Thanks, boys.
Absolutely, Ponyboy.
TJ's usually making up words. That's not improving your vocabulary. That's just learning gibberish. Ponyboy Curtis adds, hey, gentlemen or fellow listeners, serious question. What the hell happened to D-Cut? He's been gone for a couple of years. No? You guys never shout out the Islanders Misery Rated R group? I don't know, man. I think they cut us out of the loop, didn't they?
I don't know. Don't care. Don't know. I don't know.
I think they like Lou Lamoriello, and we didn't, so that was a problem for them. Oh, well.
I don't know.
Anthony Ridge says, yes, agreed, TJ. We should not look to make the playoffs, but on a great 2026 draft, build for 2027. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Freedom Fund Adventure goes, Grumpy, I don't care about fancy schools and education. We know, Grumpy. We've heard your two sons speaking. Okay, you don't have to go to a fancy school to learn how to speak. They're half Polish. I told you, it's a problem. XCOM 3414 says, and if 91 comes back, I'm burning my sweaters. No, you won't. No, you won't. Kashite Revenge says, Tavares is not worth $5 million. Are you crazy? Really?
With the cap increasing the way it is, I'd pay $5 million for a guy like John Tavares, who'd be a really good third liner and a pretty decent second liner for the early years he's with us.
JG Pajot makes $5 million a year.
Yes.
Who's a better player? Robert Marshall says, wrong, TJ. It lands on the owner. Garth wanted to trade Pajama Boy, and Malkin took over the negotiations. Listen to the Snow interview. It's funny. Garth Snow's smart, though. He's smart. All right.
How much? Okay, as I'll mention again, he waited until he was no longer on the payroll of the Islanders to take that because it probably would have reached his potential contract and got his little paycheck cut off. But I found it really convenient. As soon as that happened, he went out there and went on that little. He had that interview. I think it was with Ethan Sears. Not saying it's not maybe true.
Well,
all I'm going to say is
some
this:
elements of being true.
Yeah, I'm sure it had some elements of being true, but I did find the timing very convenient and very coincidental, where it's like, hey, I'm no longer getting paid. Let me go out there and try to trash to say, oh, that epic collapse and failure wasn't my fault. It was the owner's fault instead. I'm not sure.
Garth Snow was smart. He wasn't going to say anything until he got fired or until his contract expired. Isn't it interesting that no one in the NHL has approached him about a job since he left, since he got fired by the Islanders? Nobody.
Right.
Everyone who leaves the Islanders never works in the NHL again. Milbury.
You think Lou's going to get another job?
Lamoriello. None of them ever get hired again. It's where general managers go to kill their careers. Hopefully Darche changes that. Drew says, lessons that I've learned from this podcast. Lots of hypotheticals, and Grumpy is racist towards Swedish people.
There it is.
It's not racism. It's just typecasting. It's just what they are.
Do you think Darche
says, do you think
Howard, I'm reading it for you, to sign the Founders? You've been reading all the comments, trying to give you a break here to get your drink here. Put up a Curtis says here, TJ, if I paid you to get a Bucky's tattoo on the arm, would you get it? No, I would not, though. Leo Santos says here, no Dobson's great. Pay him. It was overrated. I got a lot of that back and forth. Maga says here, I love these idiot Islander fans who talk shit about top-end talent as if have any. Tommy B says here, watch for Utah or Carolina, Anaheim to get in on potentially Mitch Marner. McDavid is going to get an 8-year extension this summer, 17 to 18 million per year. Book it. Yeah. And then Toronto has 7 years of no conference finals appearances, the ultimate paper tiger. Yeah, okay. That's not a bad idea too. My little brownie, Grumpy.
I'm happy, Grumpy. I'm happy me nagging you about Drive to Survive has finally paid off. Hope you'll be watching the legendary Monaco Grand Prix tomorrow morning. I will not, because I'm going to be out doing something for TJ tomorrow morning.
Program this is great show, guys.
But we're getting into the F1 thing, and we want to watch a show. The warden wants to watch the show. So, yeah, that's a step in the right direction. You got to get the warden on board on some of these things. Keeping you awake, TJ?
Yeah, I'm tired, buddy. I'm tired.
Okay.
The lovely Paige is working tomorrow morning, so I got a bright and early morning with little Liza. So, anywho, let's wrap things up. Grumpy, what do you want to say before we end the show here today?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens in, even those who don't, from TJ the Grumpy Old Man and behind the scenes Son X, and let's go Mathieu Darche. Make sure you draft Schaefer.
Let's go Islanders. Things are finally on the up and up. Couldn't be more excited about the way things are looking here currently. On a serious note, this is the most optimistic I've been about this franchise and this team in for 4+ years. So this is a great time period for us. Let's just hope we're starting to make the right decisions. This is a chance, really get a chance to start over fresh and new and get rid of the nepotism that runs rife in this organization, and just to finally take the step in to be a real contender year in and year out. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching here to the show this evening. Thank you, Grumpy, for being a part of the show. Thank you so much for all of the engagement. We'll be with you guys next time, a.k.a. next Saturday. Thanks again, as always, guys.